What's up, fool? Big shout out to our brand new sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. BetterHelp supports your mental health goals every step of the way. Listeners get 10% off your first month by using our sponsor at betterhelp.com/fool. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/fool for 10% off your first month. What's up, fool?
What's up?
We got Lisa over here.
Hello.
Somebody said give her a mic, so we gave her one.
Yes. That's not why I'm here.
We have Martin Rizzo.
Aquí estoy. Try not to poop myself.
What?
I did poop myself. I even talk.
We have a guest right here, Louis C.K., liar.
What's up, fool?
We got Matt right here, man.
I'm almost as Mexican as Louis C.K.
Man, this guy's Mexican, man. He lived in every hood. Whittier, Norwalk, Montebello,
Grew up in Pico Rivera.
Pico Rivera.
Yeah.
You went to Pico Rivera High?
El Rancho High School. Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy. It's
I was the white guy.
Did you have any problems growing up?
Did you play baseball?
No, I did not play baseball. Problems, the normal stuff. I don't know. Anybody who's slightly not looking like everyone else is going to get picked on, so it was fine. Whatever.
Pico Rivera is
my son is in your position
big
at school.
baseball high school.
Yeah, they're good. When I was there, they were a huge gymnastics school, which is weird. And then they don't have gymnastics anymore. And then the other thing was they had a really good welding program.
Oh, shit.
Which I don't think they can do anymore.
Program.
They used to win all kinds of awards for welding at El Rancho. I don't know.
I didn't know there were awards for welding.
Wow, that's good that you say that because in our school, we still had a metal shop in junior high school, but we won no awards.
Yeah.
All we did was just read the safety manual.
Did you injure each other all the time? Or?
Yeah, because every time in our class, instead of doing like the dustpan or whatever you're supposed to make, everybody was just making ninja stars. And every time Mr. Tringali would turn his back, people would throw him on the board.
Because high schools actually teach trades back then, right?
Yeah, we used to make hammers, bro. I knew how to make a hammer, bro.
Yeah, wow.
You made a hammer?
Yeah, they give us.
You can't even use a hammer now.
They give us a rock, and we melted the metal in that rock. And this guy named Rudy, he knew how to work it better than everybody, so they trusted him. And he poured the metal on that mold of the hammer. We let it dry, and then everybody shined. We got sandpaper. We shined it, and they graded you by if it was real shiny. Mine was. Someone took my hammer, man, but I guess they stole it or something. But I never got to do someone stole my hammer. But there was one kid, his hammer was like chrome plates off a Harley Davidson.
Damn, dude.
Like shiny.
The most dangerous thing I had was in college. I was studying mechanical engineering. We had an actual jet engine that was in the lab that they lit. It was like a small jet engine. We had to measure air pressure and temperatures and stuff from inside the engine. We're holding instruments in there and stuff. While there's
This was metal shop? Or
that was
auto?
at college.
A jet engine.
In college.
Yeah.
From a plane.
Yeah, it was.
Shit.
Yeah, it was. I think that was direct energy conversion. That class, fun stuff.
The science class.
He said dissected a cat.
Well, I was telling you about dissection because we were talking about Tommy T, the owner of Tommy T's.
Shout out to Tommy T, man. He had triple byheart.
Triple bypass.
Bypass.
He had a heart attack. But anyway, he showed his cut chest, his sternum. But I was telling Felipe what it was like to cut through a sternum. And I've never cut through a human sternum, but I've dissected many animals because I was an anatomy student and I was pre-med. And we did a lot of that. And it's pretty gross and unforgettable. You can't forget it.
You took biology, fool?
I dissected a frog. I remember that. And it smelled weird. It was just you could tell they've been in, I don't know what, like a pickle jar for a long time. It smelled weird, but that's the only thing I dissected. I don't know.
I know it's formaldehyde. Isn't it? I know. I can smell it right now. I know what that smells like.
Yep.
It's like medicine.
I don't even know what that smells like. Thank God.
You don't want to.
You do because you used to smoke sherms, didn't you, back in the day?
That's PCP.
Dipped in formaldehyde.
I thought it was animal tranquilizer.
It's
elephant tranquilizer.
Whatever it is, dipped in formaldehyde.
Is it PCP elephant tranquilizer? Are PCP friends out there in Atlanta?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the sherms itself. You're saying it's dipped in PCP?
Yeah.
Well, what is it that's dipped in embalming fluid?
For the frogs?
No, some
That's
joint.
that stuff he's
There's
in
some-
movies.
I know
It's
there's
called
some
wet.
drug
It's
they
a
do.
wet. Yeah, it's like a wet joint.
It almost smells like ink. If I remember, if I can.
Somebody in the comments help me out.
Somebody knows.
Somebody did. Philip. Something joint dipped in formaldehyde.
Lovelies.
Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Probably gonna
Angel dust, right?
Angel.
That's not a.
That's just
That's
PCP,
just
right?
PC. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the same thing as PCP.
I know there's a term for it because I wrote about a killer earlier this year where that was his thing, and I can't remember what it was called.
I thought it was Sherms. I thought that's what Sherms
What's
was.
up, fool? Our guest right here. I
Yes.
follow him on TikTok. What's your TikTok?
Funnymat.com, all spelled out. So FUNNYMATTDOTCOM.
And if today is your birthday, what's today's date?
Today
March
is
30th.
30th.
March 30th.
When does it airs?
It airs now.
Okay.
It's
You
on
gonna
right
post,
now.
You
We're
gonna post
live.
it tomorrow?
I'll put it up tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Okay, if your
Yeah,
birthday is
The
March
31st.
1st,
31st.
For 31st.
if your birthday is March 31st, you're what is the serial killer they're connected to?
Hold on,
He's
I gotta
gotta
look
look
up
at
the
his
name.
database.
Hold on, I gotta check my list. I don't have them that far in advance, but let me go to.
I know you're gonna ask that question.
I didn't know tomorrow. Okay, here we go. It was for tomorrow, March 31st.
Here, I'll just tell. What is the drug wet? The drug wet refers to marijuana cigarettes dipped in or laced with substances like formaldehyde or PCP or both. So it could be either one.
Formaldehyde.
I'm pretty sure.
That's from James.
I'm pretty sure what you were saying because
The
ain't
Sherm
nobody
stick.
gonna find no elephant tranquilizer
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
hood.
So
It's called a Sherm stick. A joint dipped in that shit is a super cool. That's what
super
it's called.
cool, baby.
yeah. So March 31st is the birthday of Christine Paolilla. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Paola. Paolilla, who was a mass murderer known for the Clear Lake Massacre of 2003. And she had a troubled early childhood where her father, grandfather, and great-grandmother all died while she was a kid in the same year.
Died.
She lived in New York, and she was sent to live with her grandparents in Texas after that happened, where she was diagnosed with alopecia. Wore wigs to cover up her hair loss, and kids at school used to make fun of her, and she felt self-conscious. Then she finally learned how to do her makeup, and she started dating somebody who was 21 when she was 17 and became a drug addict. And in 2003, she went with her friends to a house to obtain drugs. Her boyfriend and one of the residents got into an argument, and then she killed 5 people as part of the argument. So,
Whoa.
Wow, you better watch out, Chris Rock.
so be careful. Yeah. So then she wound up. They didn't know who did it for a couple years, and she got away with it. And then in 2006, she got married, and she confessed to her husband, who basically they think turned her in.
Oh, wow.
They think.
They
Wow.
think.
You know, the most interesting ones that you posted, or maybe it was just one time, you post, because you post for all your friends, like if you're born on this date, this
Yeah.
is a serial killer or a mass murderer who shares your birthday, right? Yeah. But the one I enjoyed the most, well, not enjoed, but the one that's most interesting were the nanny killers.
Yeah.
Describe what
crazy.
nanny killers are.
So there's like
Because this happened back in the day, especially when people couldn't afford to have to keep
yeah.
a
So
kid.
there's a whole term of serial killers called baby farmers.
Yeah,
Baby
farmers.
farmers.
Which were like,
Yeah.
for some reason, a lot of them were in Australia. I don't know why, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where if you were a young woman and you got pregnant and you weren't married, it was like, scandalous to have a baby. So what they do is they'd go away somewhere, have the child, then they'd give it to a baby farmer who was going to then raise the child, and they'd pay him a little bit of child support. Except what a lot of these people did was they would take in the kids, and instead of raising the kids, they would just kill them right away and just keep
Crikey.
collecting
Keep
money
collecting the money.
to
Yeah.
to pay for this kid, and they'd find like 30 kids in their sewer system at the homes they lived in, and all
Oh,
kinds of
God.
And
stuff.
these
damn,
parents
dude.
really they didn't really check in on the kids to see how
No.
they're doing because they're just like off living their lives
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
scrounging the way everybody else was scrounging back then.
Yeah, because I started
survive.
all this in 2020. I decided, not knowing it was a pandemic year, for January 2020, I was like, you know what? I'm sick of wishing people happy birthday on Facebook. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look up whatever serial killer they share their birthday with and tell them about that killer on their birthday. That's their birthday twin. So I started posting that every single day, and then
On TikTok?
I was doing it on Facebook at that time in 2020. And then so I wrote up bios of all these serial killers like through that whole time. And then this year I decided to like rewrite them all. I'm going to put them into a book at the end of the year when I'm all done.
Oh, cool.
So then I'm rewriting all of them and recording a video every day of like whatever serial killer or mass murderer has that day as their birthday. But I remember pretty early on was Gary Ridgway's birthday. I think it was like early February, the Green River Killer. And Facebook does a thing where like they tag people in photos, like if they recognize them. Some guy on my friends list apparently looked a lot like Gary Ridgway, and he wound up getting tagged like 10 times as I posted all over Facebook. I didn't notice.
God rest.
And that was the first guy to block me for doing it because some guy looked like Gary Ridgway. So
Hilarious.
yeah.
Damn.
He was
Getting
not
back
happy.
to the baby farmers.
Yeah.
Was this before the American Civil War?
Post Civil War, it was usually like the late 1800s when this was
Because I
going on.
remember
But it
watching
might
it-
have been some before.
I remember watching this show, and it was pre American Revolution, And it was a horrible show that nobody liked that show but me. It was Tom Hardy.
Okay.
And he plays this guy that comes back from living in the Americas, I guess the new land, I guess?
Colonies?
the new Earth, the new land,
world.
right? What they call it when the Americas,
The New World.
The New World.
the new world.
Yeah.
And but he's very like he grew up with natives and he's white, and as soon as he got to the to town, he went to the monastery and he took out a bunch of gold coins and just paid the people. And he asked to see his kid, and then the kid came out and didn't recognize him. He gave him advice. He only hung out with him for one day. He toughened him up, gave him a sandwich, showed him some boobs, and then sent him back. But now that you say baby farmers, those fucking monastery could have gave him any kid.
Yeah.
They
I
would
mean, Tom Hardy didn't even check that with his son in that show.
He's got.
But now I'm thinking, if a pirate left his kid there,
Yeah.
they killed him and he come back, he wouldn't know what the fucking kid looked like, you know? He probably
Yeah,
dropped him off
they
the
don't know.
baby.
Yeah.
So they would just kill any fucking kid, you know? That's what I was thinking right now when I was watching.
I think there's a lot of
That's fucked
switcheroos
up,
way
man.
back in the day, whether
Yeah.
it was at a hospital or whatever. There's a lot of switcheroos happening back then.
Or women that got pregnant by somebody else. Like you couldn't fucking.
Polly walnuts.
You didn't do any tests back then, or like DNA tests.
So I
It was
think-
some tough time over there during those times, right? Because there was no money, and people like we were just Lisa and I were talking about this how we have like I have a hoodie, and you have a hoodie. I bet these are not the only hoodies we have, right?
Yeah.
But back then, man, if you only have like those days, if you had
You had one
if
coat.
you had one hoodie, that was your gown. You you're lucky if you had a chance to clean it, because you had no chance to clean it because it was too fucking cold to take it off.
Yeah, dude.
You didn't have money to clean
Yeah.
stuff.
Nobody showered back then because it was so fucking cold.
I'll give you the jacket off my back. That was an honor for somebody to say that.
That's whatever people they talk about, like, oh, if you could go back in history, whatever would you go to? I'm like, I
Never.
don't know, like 1999. That's as far back as I want to go. Like people were
99.
gross before that.
I know.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
Yeah, I only want to go back as far as the 60s. That's it.
even then, like, do you think they really brushed their teeth very well in the 60s?
No.
Like the breath of people.
I would.
You're gonna
No
interact with.
bidets back
I don't
then,
care what
dude.
anybody else is
No,
doing.
the BO you're gonna experience in the 60s.
Or
It's not worth
the
it.
1700s, bro.
Oh, awful.
That was
Don't go.
before sanitation. Like if somebody died, they just left them there to rot.
Yeah.
Or if a corpse died, or someone got stabbed, it took a while before they picked them up. Or random people were puking on the floor, and
Shitting.
Gross.
we're lucky to
Shitting
be
on the
here, man.
floor.
Well, that's like when they used to just like they'd have like bedpans and stuff. They just throw them out the window.
Yeah, and they hit a bum. And back then, also, there was people actually say, "No, we're gonna clean this," and there was people say, "Nah, leave it there." They was really fighting over that.
That's how diseases got passed around, right? Like
Oh,
back
tons.
then, like the Black Plague
Tons.
and all that shit.
That was
dude.
that was back when gentrification was good. When you clean that up, you're like, no, let's get rid
Well, I
of the shit
think
in the street.
Germ theory only came around like in the
they-
late 1800s,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
they didn't even know.
gentrification back then was horrible, man, because they were bringing diseases.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
The visitors to the new world were bringing.
Remember the first gentrifiers, the one that brought chicken pox,
Pilgrims. Like, yeah.
showing off those
Smallpox,
pilgrims,
yeah.
showing off those fancy ass shoes, fancy ass hats,
Yeah.
reading books.
They have belts on their hats. Like, winds are crazy back then, guys.
I was trying to find my birthday, bro, on your
when's your birthday?
June 11.
June 11th. I'll have to look it up later because I'd have to go back to my whole list.
I thought it wasn't there because you haven't went that far.
So because in 2020, because I
did
planned
a
them all
lot.
out, so I have most of them already sort of a framework for them. I just have to rewrite them and stuff. So
So tell people to get into your page because they're gonna go look right now.
it's funnymat.com, all spelled out. So FUNNYMATTDOTCOM.
Lisa Esparza is walking now with no fucking boot. People, what
Oh,
you got, Lisa?
yay. I have no boot. I have no boot.
First
Nice.
week.
No, this is the second week. Well, actually, no. Walking, I've only been walking like 5 days with no boot on,
Badass, man.
and not like really braving it, just around the house. But
Congrats. Hell yeah.
still, yeah, it's a world of difference. But yeah, but
Yeah.
thank you to everybody who gave me props or whatever.
It's been a journey for
It's
sure.
been a
yeah.
fucking journey. I
Crack.
cannot. I have worked from home. I had Shelly. I got to give a shout out to my assistant Shelly, our assistant Shelly, who held it down
Shelly,
for
what's
2
up?
months. I was not here in the office except one day a week
Yuppers.
at the podcast. Stop it.
From the rooftop show.
But yeah, she did everything for us here. She packed the merch. She took care of the orders. She took care of the deliveries. She did everything I needed her to do here, and I couldn't have done it without her. So,
Hell yeah.
Anyway, you want to hear that weird new LA story that I heard?
Yes.
That LA
Please.
funny thing,
I
man.
want him to comment on it. He's an LA boy.
Yeah.
LA man.
Well,
LA
I
County.
got I
LA
follow.
legend.
Anybody follow Citizen app here? Do you have a Citizen app?
Of course we do.
Do you have the
Yeah.
Citizen
Married.
app?
Citizen
I know
and
you
Nextdoor.
do.
I'm
See,
aware of
the
it,
white
but
guys,
Citizen
the white people do have the Citizen app here.
What's it called? Citizens app?
Citizen app.
Citizen,
Citizens
yeah.
app, all right. Nextdoor app.
Nextdoor is different. Nextdoor is a bunch of complainers.
Nextdoor is
in
a bunch
your
of Karens.
neighborhood. Yeah, it's a bunch
But
of
for-
Karens in your neighborhood.
Somehow I got approved as a moderator. Like I got appointed a moderator next door.
In Montebello,
Which is-
because
yeah,
he's
like, I
the
don't
white
know
guy.
why.
You got the
So
look,
like,
baby.
so people like when they report stuff, I get like a notification on my phone, and I have to vote. Like they're
Can
like,
you do something
this
about
person is
this?
promoting their hair salon, and I'm like, I don't.
I didn't know that
What do-
happened.
what do I
So,
know?
so questionable posts go through a
Yeah,
moderator.
they have like
then.
volunteer moderators, I guess. I didn't ask for the position. I was just all of a sudden I signed in one day, and they're like, "You're
Landed
now a
on it.
moderator."
That Nextdoor app. I've gotten in more fights with neighbors I've never met before in my life.
I never want to meet him.
I never want to meet. I
Yeah.
I shake my head and I just go, you know what? I don't want to know, and I don't want to meet any of you.
There's so many
I
people-
don't ever want to meet any of
So
you.
many
What
people on there,
street do
they're
you
like
live on? Please tell me.
afraid.
I don't
like,
know.
Like I see a post on there like every single day where they're like, "This person knocked on my door."
Suspicious.
And I'm like, so
Watch out for them. They
they're
knocked
like,
on
"Watch
my
out!" They
door.
knocked on my door, and then they walked away. And they're like, "Watch out, suspicious person." I'm like,
You mean the mailman?
yeah, like, are you that fragile a human being now? You can't
There's
handle
this-
somebody knocking on
And
the
in the
crazy.
hood, they still do door-to-door sales these days. They
Yeah.
still are doing that, so you can't be surprised by that.
Or even Amazon, all that
All the-
shit.
yeah.
Postmates.
I
It's
know.
like so many things on there. It's like that leads to like, and that will lead to like a giant fight among like 100 people, where they're all like, "This is because you voted for Georgia Cascone. That's why this is going on." You're like, what does this have to do with anything? Like it everything goes back to like recalls they want to do and waste our money on more recalls. And
And that's a Montebello.
Somebody said Nextdoor blocked me.
it's a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, Nextdoor is the worst. I don't comment at all anymore because I got in too many fights.
Yeah.
People just complain about the homeless, and people
Fireworks.
knocking on their door, and fireworks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. And then a new homeless guy moved in. So
Yeah.
There's a new
out.
encampment 5 blocks away. Calm down.
The other one we get is we saw a coyote on the street. Watch
Coyotes,
your dogs.
yes.
Watch your dogs. And then I always go like, I wish my neighbor's yappy dog was outside when a coyote came by because that thing's fucking annoying.
we live in San Fernando area, so there's coyotes here.
Yeah.
All
People
around,
are surprised
dude.
there are coyotes. There's a coyote in our neighborhood in the middle of the day. Oh my god.
also, people complain about
California.
people. I know that in my neighborhood, they were not complaining, but they were making fun of some lady and then like talking shit about her because she was having a yard sale every week. So it's like a business now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's one across
Yeah.
our street. Her business name shows up on Google Maps
Damn, dude.
as a business, but it's a yard
And
sale.
Deeks.
It's a yard sale across the street.
She's got good SEO, man.
Because you could technically have like one yard sale a month, or what's the rules?
I don't think nobody's policing.
What's the
that.
rule,
I don't
Philip?
know what the rule
Your mom
is.
has yard sales.
Because I remember my mom had a yard sale, and then like she had like one in the next week, and they were like, "Hey man, somebody like came down. Hey, you can only have like."
I think my sister was having a yard sale with Philip's mom, and then like some other girl started selling tacos, and then like they had to break it up or something.
but
like
it's
a
like,
whole
who
block party.
cares?
It
You
became
know?
too
Right.
much of an enterprise.
Code
over
enforcement
there.
shows up and they want to shut it down. And yeah.
Well, anyway, so I belong on. I
Okay.
have the Citizen app. So the other day, like 2 weeks ago, I got this notification that there were these hikers stranded by the Hollywood sign. Right.
No way.
Okay.
They were
What?
lost?
Listen. So it said L.A. Fire
the
Department
nighttime
worked
already?
by ground and by air to rescue 2 men, a woman, and a dog who were too exhausted to go on. After
What?
hiking
How
below,
chubby were they?
After hiking below the Hollywood sign. LAPD received a report of trespassers near the Hollywood sign around the same time. So there was a helicopter overhead. Firefighters soon took over the response. They found the hikers in the publicly accessible area. This is not the off-limits area, right? Below the Hollywood sign. A fire department person said the group was reportedly too exhausted to walk further. LA Fire Department personnel held the hands of the group and walked them 3.5 minutes back to the nearby trail.
Oh.
3.5 minutes.
That's longer than I have sex.
Isn't that crazy?
Can we see how these people look like? Please?
I know. I wish I could. I wish I had a picture of them.
They should just live there now. Like, that's where you live. If you can't get back from below the Hollywood sign, which is a short hike to begin with, 3-minute walk to the trail.
It could be
you
a
should
long
just,
hike depending on what area, what route you take.
Yeah,
but if you're down there at the bottom,
you can get back to. You're not.
three
it's not
and a half
like man
minutes
versus.
from the trail.
Was
It's
the
not
sun
man
going-
versus wild at that
No.
point. Like, you're
Was
fine.
Was the sun going down at least, or
Yeah.
like,
No, this was 4:30
bro? Like how long ago was this?
2 weeks ago.
Dude, spring forward, bro. Fucking, we have daylight.
March 20th.
It's light till 7 now.
It was insane. I could not. We laughed for hours. It's such a waste of resources. They had a helicopter, fire department, everybody.
Yeah,
rescue
like if
vehicles.
you go up and you go into the restricted area, they scramble the helicopter and they like pick you up and they'll like arrest you for that. But
Damn, 3-minute walk.
Somebody said my
Yeah.
girl did that hike 7 months pregnant.
yeah,
Held hands to get escorted 3.5 minutes away
Now her
to the
son's
trail.
name is
Isn't that
Griffin.
embarrassing?
That is embarrassing, man. 3.5 minutes?
3.5 minutes from the trail. They weren't even off the. I mean, that's just
that's like
crazy.
200 yards.
They're probably near the picnic tables or whatever's over there, right? Isn't that where the picnic tables
That's,
are?
even, that's not even enough time to yell at them
yeah.
all the way down.
But maybe it's one of those things if like they didn't like act on the on that call, and they something happened to them, they could have gotten sued or it would have looked
Yeah.
bad on them. I don't know.
I'm sure the authorities have to respond whenever.
How long were they
call
lost
in.
for, though?
I don't even know. But they
Can't have been
couldn't
that
go
long.
on.
Was it Griffith or was it
No, Hollywood Sign.
Hollywood
It's
Sign.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
It's near the Griffith Park. But
I remember
yeah, like
wanting to
at
call the
bottom.
cops on my mom and dad for just walking me around doing errands. I was more tired than them.
I know I'm at Food for Less. Please help me.
I want to leave this ghetto ass swap meet.
But if you're not used to that kind of walk, I've seen snakes on fucking on the
They
Griffith
didn't
Park.
mention any snakes on this Citizen app.
There's snakes everywhere.
There's snakes at our next door neighbor or something. I don't. Those aren't
Yeah.
gopher holes.
God
I
damn.
think those are
like
rattlesnake holes or something.
there's probably 50 spiders in this room with us right now.
There's not 50 spiders here.
Like hiding in like in every structure. There's like tons of creatures all around.
There's creatures, yeah.
Australia, there's some crazy spiders. I've seen those
Australia.
videos.
Yeah, you don't mess with them. The weird thing in Australia is, do you know platypuses are like one of the most venomous animals on planet Earth?
They're venomous.
Yeah.
They have
mammals?
fangs. They have fangs
On their
on
feet.
their legs.
Yeah.
Like a stingray or something. Like a.
It's like on their inner thighs. They can like latch onto you, and then they can like
Are those the
inject
ones that walk
venom.
real slow?
No,
they
they're
have
the
like
ones
the
that have
duck bill, and
Beaver
they're the weird
ducks.
They
animals.
lay eggs too.
Yeah, they're
the only,
marsupials
only mammal who lay eggs, right?
Yeah, they're crazy.
Oh, they're
looking.
also marsupials.
Yeah,
And
they-
they're- yeah.
They span different
Oh,
things.
these guys.
Yeah, and like I saw a
Duck-billed
thing,
platypus.
like I don't know, like 10 years ago.
They're
it
like
was-
the prehistoric animal that is still around. Like
Yeah,
one of
like-
the only.
A duck
I remember seeing a
beaver.
thing on like Animal Planet where it was like,
tastes
you know,
like?
when animals attack, one of those kind of things. And some guy talking about he got stung by a platypus, and it was like 5 years before, and his entire arm was still
Impotibus.
black. Like his entire arm, like he could barely move his fingers. This was like 5 years after it
A
happened.
frostbite or something like that.
Yeah, and they said like when they brought him to the hospital, like he was screaming so loud and the pain was so bad they almost overdosed him on morphine because they couldn't get enough dose in him to manage the pain. So like he almost died from the morphine they had gave him because they had to give him so much. It was crazy.
My
Like don't mess with
God.
platypus is what I learned.
Wow, who knew that a
Yeah.
platypus could?
'Cause they
just,
look
like,
so
They
cute,
do like
you
a
know?
leg lock basically
Yeah.
on you, huh?
It's
Don't
their
mess with
defense
platypus.
mechanism.
Wow.
Yeah, Australia's scary. That's what you need to know.
Damn.
There's some strange animals over there, right? It's like the
Platypus.
land that time forgot. One of
Yeah,
those
they have the
things,
best
right?
animals.
And that's
They're-
why England sent their criminals there. Yeah. Back in the day, yeah.
That's where a lot of the baby farmers were. Australia. A couple of
true.
them. Yeah.
The what?
True.
A lot of baby farmers in Australia.
from
That's
Australia,
like
the
a
serial
thing that was
killers.
pretty common there.
What about that movie? I remember where the dingo took the baby.
Cry in the Dark?
Yeah, I saw that movie as a
Street,
kid. I was like,
Dingo ate your baby.
that's where it came from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe
yeah.
the dingo ate your fiance.
Now, when I used to go to the Barnes and Noble, remember, Philip? We used to go. I used to grab the serial killer books, and one of them was the Encyclopedia of Serial Killer, and I would just sit
Yeah.
there. And I remember I saw this movie about a serial killer. You could tell them more about it. The Russian guy, he was killing people before when they were communists, and it was hard to catch him during those times because they didn't want to open up their Russia didn't want the whole world to know that there's a serial killer because they want to hide it. And well, then until they dropped down the curtain, they started getting like FBI, and they got someone that could analyze the psychology of this serial killer, and they kind of run away.
Profile him and all
A
that
profile
stuff,
him.
There have been quite a few Russian serial killers that killed like hundreds of people, like huge numbers. And part of it is because Russia is so spread out. Like one of these guys, I wrote about him, I think it was March 1st. And I can't remember his name now, but it was something I can't pronounce anyways. But I remember his crime spanned a 2,500 mile stretch. Like he killed people all along there, and he was actually a former policeman, and he was killing people while he was a policeman. He would go pick up
Always
women
a
at bars
policeman, man.
that were drunk. He'd get them to go in his car. He's like, "Oh, I'll give you a ride home," and then he'd take them out to the woods and rape and kill
Captain
them.
Killaho.
Yeah, bad guy, man. So like, and then it took him years to find
Women
him.
are not safe anywhere
no, well,
with
like,
anybody.
the thing
Not
I've
safe here
learned,
either, right?
like whenever it's big numbers, it's people who focus on prostitutes, runaways, drug addicts, homeless people.
And these guys,
Because nobody cares.
Nobody
Like
cares
they don't care.
that they don't care.
Yeah.
That's true. That's like the serial killer, the sleepy. What was
The
his
Grim
name?
Sleeper.
there he is, right
Grim
there.
Sleeper.
Yeah.
Alexander.
That's
Yeah,
the guy.
you did. Alexander.
That's the Russian
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Spetsitsev, right? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spetsitsev.
I am
Spetsitsev.
Russian.
Yeah. But yeah, like I remember, like the other thing I've learned is so many of these serial killers had head injuries as a kid. Like I didn't know that was like if you meet somebody who had a concussion when they were like 4 years old, then they started drinking when they were 12, and then
Oh,
they joined the
shit.
military. Run the fuck away. That person's a serial killer.
military will fuck
Like
you
all
up.
those things combined are like red flags. when
Any
you get
sort of
those
head
things.
injury, though, that'll just change your life, right?
Yeah,
there.
tons of these like when I'm researching like their early childhood, like tons of them had head injuries as kids. Like they were dropped, they got hit in the head with like a baseball or whatever. And
I
then,
saw
like,
one of the
they
isolation when
messed
they were
up.
like little and shit. They just spend time alone.
Well, also if they're weird, their parents often kind of like rejected them anyway or pushed
Yeah.
them off into you just
Cable
hang out over
guy.
there. Well, one of my favorite serial killers is that guy Richard. What was his name?
Linklater.
Richard. No, he's
Dawson.
skinny guy, the vampire of what's his name?
That's the one that became a
Vampire.
transvestite, right?
He's actually handsome.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Find that guy and kill him.
He's a killer. He had killer looks.
Like the first one I remember being conscious of was Richard Ramirez.
Richard Chase is the one.
Richard
I'm thinking
Chase,
of.
okay.
You guys
Yeah.
can talk about Richard Ramirez, but Richard Chase
Yeah.
is
Richard
the guy
Chase.
that like ate people and like had a blender full of
Yeah.
like human remains.
There's a
Oh,
couple.
right, that's disgusting.
There's one guy I
Before,
remember.
He's like, is he Hannibal Lecter's based on him or based on another guy?
He's based
he's
on
amalgam.
amalgam
He's
of,
yeah, he's
you know,
an
Albert
extra.
Fish is one of them, and then Ed
There he
Gein.
is.
But
I thought he was handsome, kind
Give
of
me a
like
click on the colored
swarthy,
one.
sort of. Click on that colored picture. Yeah, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
there he is right there.
So,
To the
like-
right.
It's like that
Whoa.
70s sort of hippie look.
But like I remember, like I didn't know anything about serial killers when I was a kid, and then Richard Ramirez happened, and I turned 10 that summer.
Was
killed-
he in Montebello? And
He,
all
he
around
kidnapped
there,
a kid
right?
from
Over there,
Montebello.
right? Yeah.
He tried to break into a house in Pico Rivera. He killed people in Whittier, killed people in Downey, Southgate, like that whole
Heights,
part of
yeah.
town where I was living as a kid. I remember being terrified. My parents would go out to eat dinner, and they'd leave me and my sister home. And she was
Around that
she was
time?
12, or I think she was 11 at the time. I turned 10 that summer, and I was like, I was scared shitless as a kid that entire summer whenever my parents would leave, because like
You're by
on the news
yourself?
every
What
night.
summer by
What was
yourself?
that?
Yeah, what's that?
What year was that?
84.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Summer of
they left
84.
you by yourself when there's a serial killer running around?
I'm right.
I like when I
wrong
watched
with
that.
your parents?
I watched that documentary on Netflix, right? Because you guys had the sheriff's.
We had
guy,
Gil
right?
on a
It
couple
was
of
great,
times.
right?
He's a friend of the show. Yeah.
So when I watched that documentary and I watched it back, and then I called my mom and I was like, "Mom, I could have been killed. How dare you leave me at home that summer?" Like,
yeah.
I was so mad.
I would definitely give my mom some guilt for
My mom went
that.
to Mexico that year too.
She just took off. She's like, "I'm
They
out
were
of here."
trying to skip out
You're
on the
on, you're
serial
Yeah, they went to
killers.
Mexico that year.
Yeah,
Probably talking about it down in Mexico to their friends.
yeah. He
Family.
killed somebody on my 10th birthday. I remember seeing it on the news.
Oh my god.
84.
Yes,
Yeah.
my mom went to Mexico that year because I remember. Yeah, they went to Mexico that year and they came back in July, and then they finally heard about it. But from June
Yeah.
to July, it was just us.
So I'm sure, like growing up, because you grew up in East LA, I grew up in Pico Rivera. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
we both have known people that have been involved in murders, just not in this way.
Oh yeah,
He
man.
saw
Gangsta
murders.
homie.
Yeah, he saw murders happen.
You know, it's like luckily I've never seen anything that bad in person, but you know, you see stuff.
I saw a guy getting stabbed in 19
That's a horrible story.
79, and it was I wanted to make sure like it's not like something I made up. So I looked up the name and I found to make sure this is real. You know, it's not something that my friends and I made up or.
Because you're probably 13,
Yeah,
11 then, 11.
I was coming out of a baseball game, and then I looked it up, and there it was. It was some guy named David, and he was part of the Communist Party, and he was stabbed right there in Pico Aliso. And I went to go look for him, and he's like a martyr now in San Francisco.
Okay.
There's like one of those socialists. Socialists. If you want to be a socialist, you want to be a communist. Any kind of anything capitalist. All these books are there, right?
Okay.
And I was talking to a lady, and she had the book about what happened over there. Man, she was lies, dog.
A lot of those people love being the holder of the truth.
A lot of conspiracy theories, that he was killed by the LAPD. You know, because he was coming. But he did. This guy did do something real bad somewhere else. Like he blew a bomb, or he did something horrible somewhere. You know that he got arrested for. But they said they were looking for him. But no, man, I saw him get stabbed by either Pimenta Flats or Cuatro Flats, bro.
Just wrong place, wrong time.
Probably at the wrong time.
Yeah.
They were telling those fools to get the fuck out of there because they were trying to rally up the neighborhood with their socialist party. Because these guys will protest communism every year here. And they'll feed us and they'll like play with us.
You used to have a big May Day thing.
You used to have a lot of activists, political activists in your neighborhood, though, but then they all left. They all just
Look it up,
Well,
guys.
you stab them and then
Find it,
they're
Philip?
leave.
Huh? Damien Garcia. There it is up there. There's the article.
Yeah.
Bro, you're good.
That's
Philip.
not the guy. I thought you were going to talk about the guy who got killed by the girlfriend, the lesbian and the girl.
Phil Hartman.
No,
But I didn't see- I didn't see it.
no,
I
it was
didn't
a
see him
friend.
get killed.
I thought, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Was that a friend of yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of his. They were teenagers, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was a lesbian girl who had a crush on his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she killed the guy because she was jealous. She
Yeah, dude,
stabbed him.
and
They were
I-
15,
So
I
she's
think.
still in jail right now, then.
Huh?
She's still in jail right now.
I think
No,
so. I don't know anything about it.
And it was she was that girl.
Not a serial killer. It's off topic, but
Yeah.
It was funny. When I was doing Tommy T's, his baseball coach was there, and we were talking about it. He goes, "Yeah, I remember. I sent Alex home that day early because he was like starting fights, and he was being like
the guy who got killed.
he was being a troublemaker that day. He was something wrong with him. I feel bad. I should not send him home. So he's walking home alone now, instead of with the rest of the baseball players. And then when they caught him up to him and they stabbed him right there at Holloman Park. To death, bro.
And
14 years old.
And the lesbian girl was young too,
Yeah,
right? She
she
was a
was
teenager.
16.
Sad, dude. Damn.
Bro, I remember I was at a football game. Like he was 16, and now this is like 10 years later, or maybe 9 years later, because she got out. You know, she was I guess 10. She did 10, so now she's old enough to get out, and she was like over there hanging out smoking weed. And I remember a bunch of kids were gonna go over there kill her with a bunch of bats.
Damn.
They were gonna go beat her up.
They're kids.
Yeah, the Alex's little nephews, because he was the youngest of the uncles. So like your mom had a baby 17 years younger than you, or 20 years younger
Like
than
your
you.
mom,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
an older kid.
So he
and a
was the
younger kid.
uncle to kids older than him. Nah, that bitch killed my uncle. So they went over there. They were gonna. Those three guys that were gonna go beat her up with bats, they ended up going for murder for something else anyway. So
Yeah.
they didn't touch her. Thank God. It would have been ugly.
Yeah, worst I ever saw was just from jury duty.
Oh, yeah, you were on a murder case, right?
Like here, look up. I'll give you a name, and you can just show the headlines. Look up Moises Moraz Espinoza, and I was on the jury for this case.
Moises.
Yeah, he was from
Espinoza.
Maywood.
You don't sound like you're from Montebello. Espinoza.
I don't have the
They call
pronunciation.
they call him Moy.
I love the name Moises.
And you know a guy
I
named
always
Moises,
love that
bro?
name Moises.
Moistus.
Moises, they call him Moy. And that fool went to El Paso and they bought a bunch of weed, like a bunch of pounds. But that fool's trying to hide it from dogs. And it's more like ammonia. So we had to call that weed Amoya weed.
Yeah, so that's the case I was on, where you could just read the headline there, which
I seen that guy. I didn't know that was you that one.
Yeah.
Satan worshiper gets life in prison for skinning mom.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
He skinned her.
Oh yeah. And he cut,
And he-
cut her up in like 100 pieces.
Oh,
And he
fuck
put the
that
parts
guy.
in her freezer,
He
in his freezer, right?
Put
Or
parts in
something
the
like that?
freezer, kept it in the living room, unplugged, which seems like a bad choice. If you're gonna put them in the freezer,
Ew.
leave them plugged
Unplugged
in.
freezer.
Yeah,
What's
that's gonna
the
not-
For
point?
what? For making her son watch
That
Mentalist?
smell. And then he kept her skull in a backpack. He kept he took all the skin off the skull and carved upside down crosses into it and kept it in
I
her
want
backpack.
them done. Watch
So-
his
Yeah,
side.
he kept it in a
I don't want to
backpack.
hear
Yeah, he
this.
carried it
This
around
is
with him.
disgusting.
He
Why
carried
would he
her
do this to
around
his
with
mother,
him.
though?
It didn't stink.
It was a whole thing. They used to fight a lot, and then he was
watch
he
my
was,
shows, Mom.
he was kind of messed up because his girlfriend had died in a car wreck like 2 months before, and then he was not handling it well. And then his mom was like trying to get him off of weed or something, and they fought a lot, and then he snapped and killed
Why would
her.
you just move out, bro? What the fuck? Jeez.
His mom was probably saying the wrong things to him. I'm glad she died or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was bad. And then he,
anyway.
Probably.
yeah,
man.
he cut her up with like one of those little like angle grinders in the shower, and they had photos of everything.
Gross.
So like the
How
You
long,
saw
was
the
how
photos?
long was the trial? He's she's
like
on the
8
jury.
days.
8 days.
Yeah, I one photo I remember was like they were showing evidence, right? And there was a photo of like one of the guys on scene, the crime scene guys, and he was just holding a toe, like that.
He
Just
had a
holding
toe
up
in
for-
the bag?
like
oh,
in
it's
a
a
little
photo
bag.
of the guy.
Yes, it's like a
toe.
guy holding the toe, like right there, and that's one thing I will always remember that. And then I
Man.
don't want to get too into it, but like what he did to her genitalia was not
no.
not good. It was brutal. Yeah.
I was, okay, that case took 8 days.
Yeah.
8?
I was
days.
on a case
For litigation,
involving. I've been on a jury. I've been on a jury 5 times.
Yeah.
If you're kind of well spoken and you're
Yeah.
not crazy, they'll put you on the jury if you get in that box.
Yeah.
So I've been on 5 times. The
moderator here.
last time was downtown LA. I spent 3.5 weeks, 24 days, 23 days. I wasted my vacation time. This was a stupid Wells Fargo rent case, breach of contract case. Over 3 weeks. I couldn't believe it. There was a house painter, Korean guy on there, barely spoke English. He was a citizen. So happy to be on this jury. He was so happy to be a new
an
citizen
American.
here. He was a house painter. That's his income.
Oh,
he
he
doesn't
was
work for anybody.
wrecked.
He was like, when can I go back to work? He
Welcome
was
to America.
freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because you're making what, $16 a day for jury
Yeah.
duty, maybe?
And he didn't know that you get free parking.
And he didn't know you get free parking as a juror. He was parking in the $20 a day
So he's losing
parking lot.
money.
He was losing.
Oh.
I felt so
He was
bad
still
for
acting
this
like an
man.
immigrant.
Oh, that poor guy.
It went on for 3
And he didn't know you get
weeks.
free lunch.
We told him like after the first week, we all told him, no. There's juror parking. It says on the back of your summons, like it's
Yeah.
right here. Man, I felt so bad for that dude. Oh, he was a new citizen. He was so proud.
I remember I went to go have lunch with Lisa right there outside of B.
I got an hour and a half lunch there. Never had an hour and a half lunch in my life at any job.
Right?
I did a power walk. I had lunch. I felt like a new woman.
If you had
on
an
this
hour
jury
and a
board.
half lunch every day like the judge, yeah, well, you could get shit done, huh?
I never had an hour and a half lunch ever in my life.
I always thought that if they give me an hour lunch, they're going to fire me when I come back.
I've never actually left for
They're gonna
lunch.
be like, "We don't
Any
need you."
job I've had,
And you've done jury duty 5 times?
5 times.
How about you,
3
Rizzo?
in New
I've
York
never
and
done
twice
jury
here.
duty. Am I going to go to jail? Or
Have you ever been summoned?
You get the thing in the mail?
Have you ever gotten a thing?
I don't, what? I don't know what.
They got a
Threw it
mail.
away, huh?
Mande? I don't know
Just
anything.
throw it out.
No speaking in English.
I don't, dude. I don't know anything about those things. I've gotten the stuff.
But I
Like,
send them to your mom and she throw them away.
yeah,
man,
My
you
mom
gotta-
opens my mail still.
You can get a warrant for your arrest.
Yeah, they can take you in.
Yeah,
Really?
you
Yeah.
got a bench warrant. You get a ticket for something else, or
What you
pulled
were in here
over.
for? Not being a rat on jury duty. All right, homie.
Because my
You a
mom-
Joe G.
My mom throws away my mail.
When you were doing that jury duty for that killer, did you ever make eye contact together? That's why I
He
couldn't-
didn't really look at the jury. Like he never really looked over at us.
That's creepy when they do look at you. Though.
Ew.
Yeah,
It's
so, like,
creepy,
he-
even if they're not criminal, like super criminal.
Like he pretty much looked straight ahead the whole time, and he was like taking notes.
You're
Like
playing hangman.
one thing I remember that like his defense lawyer was missing part of his finger, and I always thought that was kind of weird and creepy.
He has a defense lawyer? What
He
the, how
was
do you fucking
public
defend
defender.
that? What the
You-
fuck?
the
Come on, you're
American,
missing
the
fingers, bro.
American rule,
Public
the
defender.
American
And then
law,
the
you get a
prosecutor,
public defender for
so like
free.
there was, I was surprised there was like, hardly any media coverage of this thing, because that makes me wonder like how much scary stuff is going on out there. Where like if this is not a national news case, then what the hell's going on out there?
Yeah,
but
I never heard of that guy.
like a lot of the people from the prosecutor's office would come in and watch, because this was like an interesting case for them. It was like a lineup of just like short models. Everyone was super all the prosecutors, like the prosecutor on the case, gorgeous woman. Like then there was like Abercrombie models and Banana Republic ads right behind her, like sitting in the gallery. It was crazy.
Man, there was this guy, this old black guy, who he was the master of getting out of jury duty. And I watched him envious.
Oh, you saw him?
This guy, well, you sit in the regular like audience of the
Before they call you into the
courtroom.
box.
Before they call you in the box, they call randomly 12 people into the box. Then they start interrogating you kind of and asking your opinion and can you be partial, impartial and all that stuff when you're making a decision. Yeah. This old black guy, he must have been in his mid-60s. He goes, they said, do you think you can be impartial? He goes, what I'm wondering is why you guys ain't settled this out of court. Like, this is stupid to waste resources like this. He was gone. He was gone immediately. Like, some people say, like, just say you're racist or whatever. I can't do that.
No.
But that was brilliant. Him just playing dumb, like, you guys can't settle this out of court. What a waste of money and all. He just started talking about the system. And they were like, okay, thank you very much, Mr. Whatever. And guess who's next?
Yeah.
That's how I got picked. I got in the box. And once I go in the box, I know I'm going to get picked.
Yeah, like when I was in the
That's
jury,
it.
like they pulled like 200 people into the room. And then I was like number 190 to get called into the box. At that point, they were like, we need 12 people. So like I was basically stuck as soon as
You would think they would choose people that actually have experience and stuff like that, not like random people.
No,
you know?
that's the whole
They don't
thing.
want-
It's a jury of your peers. So it's supposed to be random, but these are not my peers.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
are not my
I'll
peers.
never hang out with the people.
Yes.
Never. These are not my peers, man.
There's people that are going to go, like, they really want to go home. Let's just end this, right? Let's just...
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, everybody complaining that once we start deliberating and everything.
Well, there-
They're complaining
there's-
about lunch and all sorts of
Was there a juror with you that thought he was going to practice law after this?
Not too bad like that. Like it was interesting seeing when you go in for the deliberations part of it, like how those personalities come out. Because like you're sitting in a room with these 12 people and you can't talk to them about anything you've seen. So it's like you've both just seen a guy holding up a toe and you can't mention it.
Yeah, you're not supposed to mention it until you're
But like
in
you can't
the-
say anything until you're in the room deliberating. So
I
like
can't be a juror.
everything before that was all like, oh, so how was your drive this morning? Did you have a nice lunch?
be a
Like
Did you
juror,
have
man.
your lunch?
Yeah, my car got towed. Fuck.
I cannot be a juror, bro. I would have took my shoes off and stuck my toe out, but stabbed somebody with it. Eh?
So it was
Uña de gato.
yeah,
Way
then
to
you
go
go in the
now.
back and then you gotta like pick a foreman and that's when you get to see like who is sort of like a more dominant personality or whatever.
Yeah,
and then
it's always the dominant. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
But the worst part, though, and the one that gives me the least amount of faith in our justice system, is the jury instructions, because the jury instructions are so fucking confusing. So okay, so then this little Wells Fargo case that I did, that lasted 3.5 weeks. This guy, whatever, it says on the form, if you think this guy did this or whatever, then you have to award him this. If you think that Wells Fargo is at fault, then you have to award this or whatever. But you can't ask questions. If you ask questions, you get like a vague answer because they can't really guide you, right?
Yeah.
But there's always questions about jury instructions, and the lawyers know it. They write the jury instructions, and they purposely write them confusing so that you kind of guided into giving this person the full amount if it's a civil case. I don't really know how the jury instructions are in a criminal case. But basically, we gave this guy over $1 million for his rent that he was due, So but we wanted to give him less because we also felt this guy's a serial sewer, right? So we didn't really like the way he was operating, but it didn't matter because he's entitled to this amount.
yeah.
So you're kind of forced to just go into this lane. Okay, well, this is the choice we all made. But there's no real finesse of anything.
Yeah.
It's black and white, and nothing is black and white.
Yeah, like I was surprised by jury instructions too, because
It's
like
so confusing.
I always thought that there was like, oh, there's a definition of murder 1, a definition of murder 2, a
Right.
definition of whatever. But they debate that on every single trial. They come up
because
with the
both
definition.
lawyers come together and put
Yeah,
this
like the
together.
prosecuting defense, like they have to argue in front of the judge and they finally come up with what. So like we got this sheet of paper where there are things that were like blacked out on it and other stuff written in by hand that was like our instructions for like the definition of murder 1 versus the definition of murder 2 and all that kind of stuff.
Like
And
it was a nuance of
Yeah.
those definitions, not like a black and white thing.
Yeah, and
That's
it's like I
weird.
always thought that like there was like, hey, this is the definition of law of what murder 1 is, and like that's what it is. But apparently not. Like that's what was very surprising to me about the process.
Man, why are we even dealing this in court, man?
Man,
Wasting
what
all
I
these
don't
resources.
understand. I know,
See,
man. It was
now
the
I know
most
what to
brilliant-
say.
Yes.
They were to ask you, bro. You were there. What you say?
For which one, the Wells Fargo or the guy
Either
with
one.
the
No, they
Either
asked you
one.
for-
They-
they
You
want-
feel like they're going
They
to
want
pull you
they
in for
want
this
you to
jury.
be a jury, bro.
I don't know like that. Just like can I go home?
I'm not speaking English.
I'll be like George Carlin, man. I can find a guilty person at this, bro.
Yeah,
Where's he at?
yeah.
Como se dice?
Like, I remember- Like the
White or
first
black?
time, I got jury duty, I went in and they didn't like. I got in the box and they dismissed me right away because it was a case involving Highway Patrol case, and my brother was on Highway Patrol. So I just mentioned that my brother was on
That's
Highway
easy,
Patrol, and they're
yeah.
like, gone.
Oh, wow. So it's like they know you. Like,
You can't have any conflict of interest in
Yeah, they don't want anything like that. So.
that would be enough for the other side to argue and say this guy's not good.
So when
Yeah.
they kick you out, that means they gotta find somebody else to like fill the fucking. So
So then they pull from the rest
That's
of
why
the
they bring
people
in like
pulled
200
Yeah.
people that are in there.
You all sit in the courtroom,
okay,
then
yeah.
only 12 at a time sit in the box. And one by one, they eliminate those
that's
people
time consuming
until they get 12 that nobody disagreed on. And both defense and
Impartial
prosecutor
people.
has to
Yeah.
have to agree.
Dude,
on.
I remember I was dating this girl, and she was telling me that her favorite name is such and such name, right? And then I go, why that name? But I didn't tell her that I knew that name from somewhere else. I didn't tell her why that name. And then she said that her friend was in a juror in a case, and there was this female drug dealer there that was running shots in his housing projects, and that was her name. I know her.
I know that bitch.
I know that bitch. And yeah, that is a good name.
They said dismissed. Thank you.
I can't
miss.
believe that. Would you find her? Yeah, they found her guilty.
What's her name?
out.
Don't Trip?
She's out already.
don't trip. Oh, don't trip.
You had like one of those cards that they stamp like you're not every 9 times you get the 10th one free.
But I
or
was
whatever
like,
with her.
You get a
what?
sub.
I know that girl.
Boba stamps.
Man.
That's
It's
crazy.
not a very common name.
Damn. So, but when they're choosing 12 people, do they gotta make sure you're impartial to like killings and stuff like that, or they ask you like what's the screening process for that?
By the time I was in there, they were asking like, "What's your
What's your
name?
favorite
What's your
color?"
occupation?
Latrice.
Can you be objective in this?"
Yeah,
And
can
then
you
they
be
were like-
objective is their biggest question.
And they said like,
What do you think about cut off toes?
'cause that
Like,
time-
I don't know what
because when they're picking the jurors, you don't know anything about the case, so they're just telling you like.
until they choose
And
the
they-
12.
they give you vague answers.
The judge was just like, "This
general
is a
answers.
case involving a violent crime,"
Yeah.
and they said it may involve some imagery that if you're squeamish, then you'd be uncomfortable with.
So you
like,
could
can you see
leave
that?
before they okay.
But see,
But
I
I've been on the
would get out of
internet-
that one because I go, man, I love serial killers.
I
I love
would've been
stuff.
with
I
that.
love crime shows.
They'd kick you out for that.
They'd kick me out for that. Yeah, because I'm too biased.
You're
I'm
too-
too obsessed with something.
You're experiencing that
You
kind of
need
field,
to be
yeah.
like middle of the road with everything and not biased in any way.
Yeah, like I've been on the internet since
And-
1992, so I've seen some horrible things.
That's
so.
the early days of the internet, dude.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It's before modem.
Crazy,
That's
huh?
before that's with the dial-up, right?
Damn, dude. You had
used to
the
have-
patience back then, bro.
Man,
No, slow
Juno.
internet, yeah.
It
You
was
don't even know from dial-up.
that was because I went to college, and then it was like, hey, here's this thing called the internet. You're gonna use it for the rest of your life, and we're like, all right. That was orientation.
Yeah,
You've been on the
man.
internet since when?
92.
People thought it was a
92.
phase back then,
That's
right?
when I got on too, because it was intranet first with the colleges,
Yeah.
and then you had your own kind of little network there, and then psh, it
was
was
just-
worldwide.
It was chat rooms back then, right?
chat rooms.
Chat rooms.
I had
Plenty
chat
of chat
rooms
rooms,
only
but
on
yeah.
video games. That's the only place I saw chat rooms.
We had them on
And then
this
there
thing called
was E-Bombs
IRC
World.
back in the day.
I had
that
a
we used.
computer in
E-Bombs World,
90s.
yeah, and for other forums. I still call them forums. My son doesn't know what I'm talking about when I say forums.
Well, it used to be all the news groups back in
Yeah.
the day, like alt dot whatever
Yeah,
dot
news
whatever. There's a
groups,
whole
that's
thing
right.
that it's archived by Google somewhere. You can find probably.
One of my favorite
I would
movies, I
love to
think.
look at some of those old news groups. The South
Yeah.
Park Studios used to have the best forum. I loved it.
Late
It-
90s.
We chatted because Orgasmo was coming out, and the South Park first 2 seasons of South Park were coming out.
Yeah.
And I was a subscriber of the South Park Studios forum. It was awesome.
I was still
And Bob
dialing
and
up
Dave.com.
976 numbers.
But now I'm still on Reddit, so I'm still doing the same stuff. You know?
Reddit is Reddit is
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
Reddit is the only thing I've seen that looks
I'm
like
a
those
moderator
old
on
forums.
Reddit too. I'm a moderator
You
on,
are?
on our stand up.
Dude,
art.
you.
Reddit's killing, dude. People
don't-
tell me about Reddit.
I don't know how to
understand
navigate Reddit.
It's
I read it already.
not worth it.
Hey.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that the guy who founded it is the guy who's married to Serena Williams, and I always thought that was kind of weird because it's like a nerdy white guy.
Oh, okay, that's right. I knew he was a tech guy. I didn't know
Yeah.
he was the founder of Reddit.
First time I used the internet was like in 2003 for Bang Bus with my homies. I was
I believe it.
World famous.
Bang Bus.
Like I had a roommate in college, so I was at Carnegie Mellon, which is like a big tech school.
You went to Carnegie Mellon?
Yeah.
Wow.
I studied mechanical
That's
engineering.
where Ron Dangerfield went to, and back to school.
Back to school. That's
Yeah.
right.
So I was there, and my roommate, my sophomore year, like at the time, to get porn on the internet, like there weren't like you couldn't. The web didn't exist yet, right? This is like '93.
It was
so
barely
everything
on.
you
It
could
was email,
send,
basically.
Like you could
That's
send
it.
photos on these news groups.
You could send
where,
like
except the way it worked was like it would get encoded, so there'd just be like a long block of text, and you'd have to copy that and put it into a program that would then
Then it would
decode it,
show
and then
it.
you'd see a picture, right?
Yeah.
So my roommate wrote a program.
God, I remember that.
In 1993, I had a roommate,
memories.
this fucking genius.
I was a
The things that
baby.
nerds will do for porn in early 90s. He wrote a program that went to every news group that had porn. He would download all of the porn from the internet for the day, decode it all
For the day.
and then we'd have like a slideshow that night in our dorm room of like all the new porn on the internet from that day,
Okay,
every single
stop.
day.
I don't
I
know.
would've
How do
just-
guys watch porn together?
But it wasn't like it
don't
was all
get that.
photos. So like
It's
it
a-
wasn't
it's a
like
Coding though.
You all
there were
have
no
boners
videos.
together.
Coding, it was
no,
science.
it was just like a thing to do because like let me tell you,
But
Carnegie
you're in
Mellon
a
at the
room
time.
full of boners.
There were no
How do you-
boners.
I'm sure there
Me and my
were.
homies
Somebody
in
has
hi-
some
in middle
boners.
school, elementary.
A bunch
Hard
of nerds in a
copies.
room looking
Like,
at nude photos.
That's
I
when you
think
see
there's
weird
some
things
boners.
like there was a picture
Hard
I remember
modem.
of a guy fucking a chicken. There was a picture. And you're
Oh,
like,
wow.
what? Like how's that a thing? Like it was like, but that was a picture on alt.
Do chickens die afterwards when you do that?
I don't know.
I would think
Don't want to eat
so.
those eggs. Don't want
Popeyes.
those eggs. No.
But that's like stag films. Like stag films, guys used to get in a room together and
to
watch
be a
an
thing,
actual
yeah.
film. Like change the film reel.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Why did the guy fuck the chicken, bro?
Because the chicken didn't cross the road. What?
Is this real?
No. That's crazy. But at that point, like the whole coding shit back then, I would just be like, I'm just gonna go fucking buy a magazine. Again, that's like a lot of work.
Yeah, it was a thing. I think he did it just to show that he could. Like he was
Yeah.
the best hacker I've ever known. Like probably one of the smartest people I've ever known in my life. He used to log on because this is like a tech school. Like he would log on to computers in the computer labs remotely. And then
And
he
network
would run
them
some code, and then
together.
he could watch other people using the computer and see what they would do. So he'd sit in our room and he'd like fuck with them, like he'd make stuff pop up on the screen and do things like that.
Man,
it's like-
I miss the day when you could IM somebody, not IM on AOL,
Yeah.
but in a network.
Yeah.
You could send them an instant
Just a
message.
Unix message, yeah.
With DOS, you could just do a little code, little run code. But man, we would do that when I worked at Goldman Sachs. We would do that to people on the trading floor.
I was typing boobs on my pager.
The calculator, remember? You
Saying,
said,
spin, turn around, bitch. I said hello. You didn't get it? 4E,
Yep.
4 3 7s. Oh,
gosh.
Does your friend work as a hacker now, like a white
what they
hat,
got-
like a
that's
white
what-
hat guy?
I haven't heard from him in like 20 years, so I don't know what he's up to. He was in Atlanta.
that's why
Brilliant guy.
they sold MySpace, man, because too many people were learning how to code.
Dude, we were talking about that. Remember, like when you
HTML
had to
on
Too many
MySpace.
people were using
Too
learning
many people were learning
HTML.
how to code, man. I
That
knew
was
how to
basic-
code.
that was some basic
I knew
stuff,
how to
but
do a
that
lot of shit, bro. Everything you were talking about, I learned how to
Sparkly
do it on
text.
MySpace.
Yeah, on MySpace, people were fucking a web
Advanced
I
They were
programmer.
remember
learning,
people
yeah.
would give me the code. Hey, you want a purple one here? So
But that was actually good because people were
numbers?
learning from each other. Like I like
Yeah.
that stuff.
And then they
But-
just stopped because Facebook after it was
Like, I learned
just
how
too
to
simple.
put music up, bro, on my MySpace, bro.
But see,
just
the
by with
Facebook's
code.
like the Mac that came along, and they made it too
Yeah.
user friendly, so then nobody needed to think anymore, and they just
Well,
whatever.
MySpace was like hopping on where Friendster was like the thing. I was on Friendster before that.
I never
I
got on
remember
Friendster.
Friendster.
Were you on
Friendster-
Friendster?
And there was
Friendster had a
Tribe. Remember
bug.
Tribe?
Yeah, but like Friendster had a bug where like it would calculate the number of friends you have in your whole network, and it would do it every single time you loaded somebody's profile page, and it worked fine.
It reminded how
when there were
much of a
only, like-
loser you were.
It was fine when there were only like a couple 100,000 people, but then as it blew up, then this calculation just to determine how many friends you had like in like multiple levels, like a pyramid scheme kind of deal, that calculation took down their servers. Like they couldn't process it because they got too many people and it couldn't count that
Really?
high for everyone.
Yeah.
And then it crashed on the network, and then everybody's like, "Oh, this doesn't work anymore." And then somebody's like, "Hey, Tila Tequila's over here on MySpace," and we're like, "Let's go to MySpace." And that's when everybody left.
added me to the Tila Tequila.
That was the thing. She was the first big name. She got everybody from
She was the
Friendster to
first
go to
big name.
MySpace.
Right before she
She
went
was
to
in
porn.
some. She was in
And
some
then
rap
she became a
songs,
Nazi now. It's weird. I don't know
Rap
what her
Like,
thing is.
Nazi? Is she like a Trump supporter or something?
It's a whole like she has pictures of her in like Nazi regalia online. Like I don't know, she fell off
It means
the
good luck
cliff
to her.
into
though.
weird.
She's
Yeah,
just trying to be relevant in some
it's a whole
way.
weird thing. Yeah,
That's crazy.
But you're right about the whole fucking people became fucking web designers.
Well, there was
with MySpace,
cholas that
dude.
knew how to fucking code, bro.
Yeah.
You
How
went
to
on a
put music
cholas?
on. You put
Yeah.
you put a song on your page. You got sparkly whatever raining on your page.
they're like, "Where's the Aquanet gift?"
You went on a cholas fucking MySpace. That shit gave you a virus.
It
The
would-
whole
yeah,
Hell yeah,
it
bro.
would-
Should
it
have
would-
countdown of when her man gets out.
yeah, it would basically freeze up your computer. Yeah.
yeah.
What's up, fool? Speaking of cholas, is something stopping you from being happy? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? Check out our new sponsor, BetterHelp.com. That's HELP. BetterHelp.com/fool. Mental health is so important. It's caring for yourself. Life isn't easy. Sometimes motherfuckers slap your ass. Sometimes you need someone to talk to, someone to listen to you and help you, guide you. Like Jada Pinkett has August.
The voice of reason.
Yeah. In less than 48 hours, you can get matched up with your own licensed professional therapist and start communicating. Send a message
Within
to your
48 hours, you could start communicating with your therapist.
Yep. Send a message to your counselor anytime. You can do video or phone sessions. No driving in traffic just to get to an office and wait in the lobby. It's confidential, convenient, professionals, and affordable. Start living a happier life today. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your
Your
your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/fool. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/fool, FOOL. And get your crazy ass over
I'm
there right
gonna
now.
start it. So I'm gonna try it. I get a like a month. I think they offered me a month, so I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna let you know how it goes.
Cool.
Let's see.
I'll try to tell my ask him first question. What are you wearing?
Speaking of what you said, somebody slaps your ass. What's up with the whole Jada Pinkett? I know you talked about that a little bit last night, but here's my question: if you're somebody's wife, I'm your wife, right? I'm your wife.
Yes.
I'm led to believe. That's
When
the case.
you won Last Comic Standing, when you were about to win and I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, you were freshly on the wagon. Okay? I don't know how many people know this, but you were a mess.
A year, right?
You were a mess about 6 months before Last Comic
he was
Standing.
a train wreck.
Be lying.
You were we were a mess. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You were. We know this.
6 months ago, we did the movie in
No,
2009.
I met you.
Yes.
I met you after, so I
You
would hear
were
stories.
taking pills around that time and then you fell
Who's
off the
took
wagon.
pills?
Look, I'm just
Gas
telling
pills.
you.
Gas
I'm
pills,
telling
guys.
you, I know all
They're right,
of
they're right, gas
this.
pills, bro.
Okay? It wasn't
Gotcha,
gas
back,
pills.
cocksucker.
There was a lot going on that set. But anyway, you were in a bad place. So you get on Last Comic Standing, you're back on the wagon. And then you get so close to winning, and it's the last episode.
But I won.
Somebody's going to be announced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so nervous about what would happen because Felipe is one of those people. Father Greg talks about this in his book. You get upset and emotional for good news or bad news because you don't know how to handle either, right? You're not used to handling either one of those things. So either one of those things would throw you into a situation, a spiral. So that was my fear, and that was my biggest fear. At that, you were kind of sequestered in the hotel in Glendale, right?
I
Yeah.
picked
During
you
that
up
time,
one time. I remember.
we had dinner in the car. One time, we had a fight. We had an argument because we ate dinner in the car, and you were like, "This sucks," whatever. You went off to the hotel, and then like the next night was supposed to be the results show. So I didn't invite any family to that results show because I was like, okay, if he doesn't win, he's gonna fall off the wagon.
I wasn't even thinking none of those things. in my
I
head.
know you weren't, but I was thinking those things.
Yeah.
So this is my point. Let me get to the point.
Codependent.
So I was a little codependent, but I was also very worried because I'd never
Yeah.
dealt with an addict like this before. Okay. And so if it was bad news and you lost, you would have fallen off the wagon in my mind. If it was good news and you won, you would have been celebrating and on that high that you got to keep going. So you would have fallen off the
Go
wagon.
get a bump.
Hit up a lineazo, homie.
You know what I mean?
Where's Greg Giraldo?
So I was so worried because I had
He was there
invited
too, partying that, so I was
Greg
great.
Giraldo was there too.
And I think, what's his name, fell off the wagon again?
Roy Wood. No, he
No,
didn't. He wasn't on
Craig
the wagon.
Robinson.
Oh, Craig.
Oh.
But I did. Well, Roy Wood came up to. Well, whatever. That's another story.
He was buzzed.
Because he said to you, "Is this your prize too?" Pointing to me.
He was all sad.
You won that too, or whatever. And I was like, I'm not going to touch this, but whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot
Anyway,
he said that, all
yeah,
sad.
he said that at the party, all sad. Anyway, but I like Roy. But he did say that. But I was worried either way you were going to fall off the wagon. So I chose Sweden. I chose an unbiased party. I chose Edro. I chose Eddie. You know Eddie?
I love
Edro?
him. He gave me
Felipe
some.
Anthony's had
Russell-
another
He gave me
son.
some liquid Viagra.
Russell Peters' assistant. Russell Peters' assistant, Edro. I chose him to be the person in the audience there because he's a non-biased party.
You'd be perfect for the fucking jury.
Yeah. So he's there, and if you rewatch the winning episode, it shows Felipe's family, and it's me and Edro right there. He's not your family or anything. But anyway, the reason I did that was because I was trying to anticipate either outcome, right? And I wanted the best for you. If you're somebody's wife and it's the biggest night of your life, of your career so far, like Will Smith, right?
Somebody said that when you became vegan.
Somebody said, worse. He became vegan.
He didn't become vegan because of me. Okay, let's lay that to rest.
But
But-
Jada Pinkett should have
Look.
these feelings too, right?
Yes, because if you are married to somebody, you're their partner for over 20 years.
She has to know him, huh? His
You
reactions.
have to know him. I can see in your face when you're going to go off. I can see in your face. I just know your behavior, your body language. I know. I'm going to
What you
fucking
think.
hold you down. If you even look like you're going to go up there, I'm going to hold you back. You know, as your partner in life, as your partner in love, I'm going to protect you from ruining your fucking best night of your career, okay? Why didn't she do that? She wanted him to go up there. Why wouldn't you do that? Stop. Wait, Will, let's think about this. Let's think
Will,
about
let's
this.
think about
before
this.
You're not thinking right. This is not that important. This is not a big deal. She didn't say any of those fucking things. Why didn't she say that to him? Any woman in this chat, let me see, any of these women in this chat, wouldn't you stop your husband if you saw them ready to go crazy?
All these guys in the chat are like divorced. The guys,
Or never been married?
yeah.
Don't trip. Would have said, don't trip.
Commitment ceremonies, homie.
Anyway, I'm telling you, this you need to have, if you're somebody's partner, you got to stop them from doing stuff like this. And she didn't do that.
It looked like he laughed at first, and then he
Yes.
looks over at her, and she was not having a good time.
No.
And then that's when he went on stage.
yeah.
So I think he would have been fine with it. And then he saw she was mad, and he
That's
walked
what
out
reaction
without
was
any
about,
help.
right?
That's true. There is a Michael Rappaport on his Instagram showed the another angle.
No
like it's the
way.
back of her head, kind of behind
another
her and
angle?
Lupita and Nyong'o.
It's like the JFK.
It's like a Zapruder film.
Yeah.
Alternate angle.
There's another angle, another
Back
slap
into
by
the
the
left.
grassy knoll.
Back into the left. Back into the left.
Yeah, it's like behind Lupita and Jada, and Jada goes after he slaps him. Jada goes like this, like she enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It pleased her,
And that, she fought.
and that
They
is
fucked good that
that's
night.
sick to me. And that right there, like I'm not saying she
There
made
it is
him
right
do
there. Show
it.
that one.
Here is an
I'm just
angle
saying,
most people have
stop
not
it.
seen.
Can you make that
Look at Jada's reaction.
take a look?
What Lupita? She looks so confused. She
He
didn't know.
should have calmed her down right there.
She's not even sitting next to him.
But Lupita looks so. She's
Like they're socially distanced.
He turned into King Richard right there. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
More like King Dick.
Somebody's saying he got slapped, nobody died. Nobody died, and it's not that big a deal, a slap, but it is an assault.
It's an
and
assault.
it's nothing anybody's ever seen on the Oscars.
And he still had to fucking deliver
And he
the award
had to
after.
he had to complete his job.
Total pro.
This is a work event. They're both
Yeah.
at a work function.
Yeah.
You know, if you're at a work party, a Christmas party, and somebody goes off on you, there's going to be ramifications.
Hell yeah, bro!
consequences.
You're gonna kicked out like Jerry Seinfeld's dad, bro, from that condo. Remember?
Oh,
When he
yeah.
attacked, what's his name?
Somebody said Jada didn't say anything because she wants to be in G.I. Jane too.
Yeah.
There's a funny meme where I saw they gave Will a trophy of what's it called? Jada Smith.
Of his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. To calm him down.
Today we're at the bookstore and I opened a Will Smith book and it slapped me.
Yeah, I filmed that. I gotta upload it.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I'm gonna upload it.
All I know is that if he can't beat up Chris Rock, there's no way he would have beat Mike Tyson. Wasn't gonna happen.
Mama told me not
Yeah.
to,
Chris is
wait.
tiny. Like he knew who he was going up to hit.
And like that video that shows, we were talking about how like Chris was about to say, what was he like? Oh, never. He's like,
All his shows sold out. They went from his tickets price are $300 right now.
that's in Australia and New Zealand, bro. Yeah.
But that's everybody saying that. That's why everybody says it was a conspiracy theory. But
No.
I mean,
No.
everybody's saying it was a
No.
planned thing.
Nah,
This
man.
was not staged.
People want a
This was a
reaction.
mess.
There's
This
no
is a
motive.
mess.
Like anybody who says like it's staged is like, what is the motivation for Will Smith, who's probably worth $100 million,
No.
to do this to his career? Like, why would he agree to do this?
On a night when he doesn't want to remember something like
You
that.
know,
Yes.
man, Burt Reynolds would have never done this. And he's the biggest. I heard he was the biggest dickhead to other actors.
Yeah, he was a dick.
John
he
Wayne
did slap people.
I know they held back John Wayne from rushing the stage when they had the
They
Indian
talked
woman
about that last night.
Yeah, for
go pick
Native
up an Oscar.
American.
Yeah, for Brando.
I didn't even know that. That was the first I heard
6
that last
people.
night. That's horrible.
They were holding him back, and I'm thinking to my whole self, oh man, I wish I was like a security, my dad or somebody else security guard back then, just hit him, man. You know, like they have to hold him back. What
Yeah.
were they gonna do?
Yeah, John Wayne was a terrible person, so it's all good.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
But then, what's it called? People started like comparing it to that one Mexican actor from Mexico when he slapped that reporter on the carpet event, and then there was that one show that was filming here in Los Angeles called. It was in Spanish. It was pretty much like the Spanish version of Jerry Springer, Jose Luis and Censura. People would always run up on stage and fuck up the fucking the people, dude. And they had to put a fucking they had to build a fence,
Like a barrier?
a gate. It was a chain link fence that they put inside a studio to fucking stop people from jumping.
Next
over.
year's Oscars will be like in the Blues Brothers when they're at the bar.
Chicken
they're
wire,
holding the barbed wire,
Yeah.
the wire in front of them. Yeah.
Nick Cage.
But
Chicken wire.
how could Denzel and everybody had to console him and calm him down? Your wife should have been right there in front of him, like, guys, I got this.
She's
He's my husband.
toxic, bro.
It's toxic. It's crazy. I think
Yeah.
it's like Mr. Burns, like excellent, you know.
Yeah, so-
Somebody said. So there. What's Paul Rodriguez and Will Smith? Did he talk about Will Smith
Paul
on the last
Rodriguez-
podcast? Because I missed
Paul
it.
Rodriguez was on a podcast and he was talking when they were filming that movie Ali.
Ali. Oh, that's
And
right, 'cause
what
he
happened
in
was
Ali.
Freddie Pacheco, he was pissed off that they didn't get someone good looking to play him. And he was mad, right? And he went to
Did they got Paul instead?
they got Paul.
Good-looking guy,
Paul's
dude.
good looking.
Also,
Yeah.
When I saw you,
does
I
Freddie
thought.
Pacheco
And
own
then
a
somebody
mirror?
told Paul.
When I first saw you, I thought you looked.
Paul's
like
better
Paul.
looking than fucking that.
I had a crush
yeah.
on Paul.
Orale.
Yeah, I did.
So
Not now.
So
but-
Paul said that dude got fucking drunk, and Freddie Pacheco, the fight doctor, and was saying the N-word and yelling outside Will Smith fucking trailer. And talking shit to him, calling the N-word like a drunk person, because he wanted a good-looking guy. He was asking for so much stuff too.
Wow.
So fucking Will Smith got so mad that he turned his attention on Paul Rodriguez instead of Freddie Pacheco, because his character.
Oh, he was
Okay.
all method
Yeah.
acting and everything.
Yeah.
But what? I don't remember. I
And
have
they
to
cut most
rewatch
of
that.
Paul's lines.
I have to
too.
rewatch Paul's episode because
Orale.
everybody last night was saying that in the comments, and I didn't remember him talking about Will Smith.
We gotta go rewind, I guess.
I guess so, or have Paul on again. Maybe.
What birthday does Jada Pinkett land on? What serial killer?
There wasn't actually. No, there was actually there was no serial killer. There was Robert Blake,
Well,
It's pretty good.
who's
One.
kind of he's a killer. I
We've
don't
all
know
been
about
to
serial.
Vitello's,
Maybe,
right?
maybe. What'd you say?
You've been well with the Vitello's where he shot his wife.
Oh yeah,
outside.
yeah, Vitello's.
In
Yeah.
fact, there's a clip I uploaded to my YouTube page for some reason. It's my most viewed YouTube clip is Robert Blake on the Tonight Show, like telling Johnny how he picks up women, and it's crazy.
When he's on trial. When he's on trial.
No, this
or
was
during
from
that
like
time?
Before, right?
This is from like 1980,
Oh,
Yeah.
like
when-
way ahead of
On
time.
right
Beretta.
after Beretta. I
Yeah.
love fucking Beretta. When I was a kid, I don't know why I love Beretta. It was the cockatiel on his shoulder, man. It just got me as a kid, I guess. I loved that show.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Like, I uploaded that clip like 5 years ago because it was on like I watch old TV shows, and like I still get comments on it every single day on that video, on this Robert Blake video, which is like I'm not in it. I have nothing to do with it. I just thought it was funny, and now that's my most viewed YouTube video.
Armando Cosillo, he went to school with the Bianchi's kids.
Really?
Yeah, the
Hillside Stranglers, right?
Yeah, the Hillside Strangler.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever heard of a fucking serial killer, because we used to play. We knew a family in Echo Park, and we used to go play loteria with them and eat carne asada, and we used to hang out with them. It was like we loved that family because we used to watch television. We did like a family stuff with them, and we would go to picnics. My dad's friend, El Panchito, El Chaparrito, and I remember, man, that the mom would always tell her, "Be careful going home. Hopefully you won't get caught by the Hillside Strangler." In Spanish, though, but joking around. El Señor de las Azoteas.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but
It means the Hillside Strangler in Spanish.
okay.
Sotea means hills, and then like El
Strangler
Señor.
of the
Well,
Hills.
luckily
Because they
for
only
you-
thought it was one at one time.
Yeah, because they were only going after young women. So
Prostitutes.
yeah, they were picking up prostitutes and killing them. But
You mentioned a serial killer in your one of the birthdays, and it was a recent one, maybe in the last 2 months, that fool became a born again Christian, and he wanted to free the world of prostitutes, so he wasn't killing them and taking nobody. He was
yeah, there was a guy. I think he was one of the South American ones, if I remember correctly. But like,
evil.
he was like trying to
motherfucker.
cleanse the world of their evil by killing them. And it's like,
Thanos, bro.
Bro,
Thanos
How-
is not all wrong. I'm going to say
how
that.
bad of a how
I'm on
badass
Thanos side. Team Thanos.
how badass
Thanos.
of a movie would it be if they were to make a movie of that Mexican female wrestler, female serial
Oh, yeah.
killer that was killing?
she's great. She's coming up, I think, in October or something. She's near the end of the year. I remember her, but
Who?
yeah.
Which one?
There was a Mexican woman who was a semi-professional wrestler who was a serial killer.
She was like a heavyweight
wow.
wrestler.
She
and
would kill
was
people
killing-
on the ring?
No,
No,
she
no,
was killing
kill
old
people,
ladies.
yeah.
She was taking care of old ladies, taking all their money,
Oh,
and
like
then
Social
killing
Security
them.
sort of thing. One
and
of
then
those
killing
ladies.
them. But and she would wrestle at nighttime and take care of old ladies in the daytime.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And
Why the wrestling? It was just
Because
something she liked.
she was one of the ones that like wore a mask and stuff too. So
yeah,
had,
she
like,
was
the whole
rough
thing.
and
Anonymous?
she was tough and she was
Elbow
she was
dropping,
popular.
bitch.
Yeah,
Juana Barraza?
Yeah.
Barraza?
Was she elbow drop her victims?
she was
Why
she
not?
was
Wow.
sold. She was sold as a little girl for a beer
Oh, well, that,
Yeah.
there you
to an
go.
older man.
Yeah.
She was 11 years old, and she was sold by her grandmother for a beer. And ever since then, she had this hatred for old ladies.
Yeah.
My
So
grandmother
she was
was
sold
shot.
for a beer.
My grandmother was
She
sold for a
was raped by
shotgun.
that guy. She was raped by the guy, and then she was, but she always had like a keen mind to make business. Like she always knew how to make money, even though she was a little hustler. Man, life did not treat that lady back good. But it fucked up that she had to do everything she did. That's why they were to make a movie about her. They could show like the good, well, whatever good side she has, but she had a
See,
fucked up
Yeah,
life, man.
almost all of these people had just horrible childhoods.
horrible
She got
life,
fucked
like
over.
because see they say there's
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it all makes
Like
sense.
the Joker, the movie?
She was
Oh,
sold for
fuck it.
2 beers though.
I know.
Yeah.
2 beers.
I knew a kid that was sold when I was a kid. I lived in Section 8
Heartbreaking.
housing, which my mother wants to deny that we lived in Section 8 housing. I don't know why, but whatever.
It was Section 8.
I'm not having that discussion, but she's crazy. But anyway,
Ooh.
but we knew a French woman.
Before you start that, man, I want you to talk about Jada Pinkett's present from Will Smith after you talk about that story.
Oh yeah, that's disturbing. Before I talk about this story,
Afterwards.
okay. Well, anyway, I knew a kid named Sonny. He had a French mom.
Sonny
Her name was
Bourgeois?
Renee, and she was from France. And she came here with her kid for some reason in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, of all places. We lived on Colfax.
Wayne's World.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was thinking Wayne's World,
excellent.
dude.
Is that where that's?
Yeah.
That's what it
based?
was.
Well, that was
Yeah.
Aurora,
Everybody
Illinois.
knew that.
Wrong
It's
state,
Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, it's Aurora, Illinois. It's different. Aurora's right, a suburb of Denver. It's right down the mountains. in the foothills. Anyway, it's a shit town. Colfax is a horrible neighborhood. They made fun of it on South Park. And
Famous for
everywhere else.
custard pies.
Colfax?
Yeah, they have a custard restaurant in Aurora.
Oh, in Aurora? I didn't know. I got my ears pierced there in Cinderella City, which was a mall over there that had like a.
Oh, shit.
They had a street like in their bottom floor of the mall. It looked like a neighborhood. It looked like a street, like street lights and all that stuff. Anyway, doesn't matter. But what was I saying?
Talking about the little boy Sonny.
Yeah.
So
Sonny.
He
So
was sold for
so I had
beer.
a problem when I was a
there a Don
kid,
Julio shot?
and
'Cause
I
that's
stole
pretty
them.
fucking-
What's that?
Was there a Don Julio shot in
No.
1942?
No, I stole the mail. I used to steal the mail at our apartment building, which is so
Show me my mail, too.
horrendous. I can't believe I did that.
What's the statute of limitations?
I
on
don't
it?
know, but I was 8. But I used
You
to.
stole their mail?
I just stole the mail. I just wanted to read people's letters and stuff. I don't know what my problem was, but I would just bust open their mailboxes. They were so easy to break open. They were just little,
So what'd
the
you read?
regular.
Yeah.
So I read a letter. It was in French from her mother to her. I didn't understand any of it because it was in French. Then I threw it in the trash, okay? And I don't know what it said, but then I felt guilty because Sonny just disappeared, her 4-year-old son. He was a little towhead boy, little blonde, really white-haired boy. And he disappeared, and then the cops showed up at one point. And her parents had sent the cops because she sold her son for money so she could leave this town.
So Sonny
right?
was sold.
And you threw away the evidence?
I have a feeling I threw away whatever letter was there before
To
it got
warn?
to this point. You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're desperate and you write your parents,
Yeah.
I gotta leave this place or whatever I need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the letter said because it was in French and I was 8, but I felt like guilty because I think I was instrumental in this boy getting sold. And I felt so guilty. To this day, I still have flashes of Sonny's face in my head.
Poor
But
Sonny.
I know, but
A French dispatcher here.
the kid got sold and I felt horrible. I don't know how much she sold
I'll probably
him
wind up
for.
making a video about Sonny later this
She
year.
got
So
arrested.
you made a serial killer.
You threw
She got
away
arrested,
You're
but-
telling us right now.
threw the plans to the Death Star.
I don't know why I admitted
Lisa's
that, but
fault.
I'm just saying that it was a
Dang,
horrible,
that was-
horrible
took a turn,
time
man.
as a kid, and I just shut my mouth. I just didn't say anything to
Incriminating
anybody.
yourself.
But I would throw people's mail away. I read it and I threw it away. It was a fucking federal offense. My mother should have gotten arrested,
didn't have-
right? Like
Yeah.
Maybe that mail is in that box.
the box my mom sent me.
But that's not as bad as what Will Smith did for Jada Pinkett,
Okay,
man.
so Jada Pinkett. Okay, so I was reading about all this stuff because you can't ignore the news, right?
Shout out to Sonny.
Poor Sonny. I hope Sonny's okay to this day. He's
You're-
probably a few years younger than me.
That was like when you were.
I was 8.
You're 41 now.
I was 8. He was 4.
Okay.
I'm 50.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking about 41.
I don't know.
I wish. Anyway, so Will Smith. Okay, so in his book, I guess he talks about the low point in their relationship, and it was her 40th
is
birthday.
low right here,
It's
man.
fucking low. Her 40th birthday party in New Mexico. I guess they were there. He spent 3 years, first of all, preparing her birthday gift for
Like
her
a
40th
genealogy thing,
and
right?
her
3
party.
years.
For her
Wow.
party and her gift. He got a documentary crew to put together a film of her life up to this point,
'Cause
right?
he does vlogs a lot on YouTube.
Not a
yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
right? They have their own filmmakers and all that stuff on deck. He also tracked down the family who owned her family back in the slave days
Wow.
Damn.
and traced her slave
And they invited
family
him to the birthday
back-
party.
No, they weren't invited to the, they weren't invited to the birthday
What
party.
the
They were
fuck?
they were in the film, I think. I don't think they were at the birthday party. But still, that is what set off the huge argument that they had in their relationship and that kind of busted them.
The August
Right?
thing.
I think it was
So
right
she
before
brought
that.
Everybody her that she ever knew back.
He went back and found the people who owned her family, the white people who owned her.
Fucking insane.
Okay,
dude.
this is a white person move. That's a white person move.
That's one thing you do if you're a white person. You have a black wife.
Like if I were to like go prepare something for your birthday, and I found the conquistador who came and beat down your family.
Fucking shit, dude.
Can you imagine?
This Spaniard came in 1610.
Spaniards who came with the fucking metal hats
helmet,
and like, can you imagine?
Carlos Quinto.
I couldn't imagine.
That would be
So
insane,
she said that was like the biggest and most disgusting display of ego she had ever seen, and she's right. And I never agree with Miss Jada, but still, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? I think we'd have to get divorced. I'm not
That's
black.
like you going all the way back to find out which army agent has sex with somebody in the Philippines.
Create Steph's family.
That's so funny, yeah.
Anyway, that's just insane. That's too much. It's too much. And it's embarrassing.
Wow. We have DNA for that now.
I mean, black people will revere, their slavery roots, but they don't want that shown in their fucking face at their birthday party. That is nothing to celebrate.
Like you can trace the people on your lineage, but you don't have to show the people that
who
bought
you.
and sold them is crazy.
That's
It's
You know,
insane.
I'm sorry.
That's where you
and
stop, dude.
that's
Yeah.
grounds for divorce right
Hell
now.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
You see these people
Can't
right
come
here?
back from that.
They used to whip your great grandmother into
That's
shape.
why I'm lucky. My grandfather came here in 1910, way afterwards.
That was the first intangible, huh? That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's some crazy gift you give on South Park or something.
Gosh, that's
Yeah.
insane.
Horrible.
You know what's funny? Stephanie tells me, my girlfriend, she's Filipina and white, but she tells me in the Philippines, people try to be like, oh, I have a lot of Spanish blood in me. Like, they're very proud about the Spanish
Dominicans
blood.
too. Everybody is,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Is that a wild gift, Matt, or what? Is that grounds for serial killer move right there?
Yeah, let's find out. Let's find out what happens with Jaden. He's the one who's you got to watch out for, right?
Do you have any...
He said, I'm an accomplice to Sonny being sold.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Eight.
The FBI's going to be
8.
knocking on the door by the time
And
we're
look,
done.
my mother beat the shit out of me, and that's why I was acting this way. Okay, so
you
don't,
take some
Did you
mail
take
and
any?
shit?
Was there a head injury involved,
I had to
Lisa?
go look up
That makes me
everybody's
sad.
mail.
Think about that kid
It's
now.
so sad. I'm telling you,
But anyways,
honestly, he looked like
why
our
would there be a
grandson with
French
blonde
though?
hair.
From the French,
Because she's French. She's from France.
mom?
Yeah, Renee. That's what I said. The mom was French.
Bonjour.
I don't know why she ended up there in Aurora, Colorado. I
Sold
have
the
no
poor
clue.
kid for a baguette.
But there were a lot of bikers. There were a lot of bikers in our apartment
Le
building.
It was like
There were
Rocky
a lot of
Dennis.
no, it was a lot of
Rocky Dennis.
it was a lot of what you call them, Hell's Angels.
The
Yeah.
mask, Rocky Dennis.
That was in L.A. That was in Azusa,
Yeah.
Covina. Do you have any advice for the most notorious killer of all time, Yolanda Salivar? She's coming out in 3 years.
A serial killer.
She's not a serial killer, but
She's a
she's
one-time killer.
One-time killer, but we hate her.
It just
bro.
made a big
She's
impact.
one of the
When is
biggest.
she coming out of
In
prison?
3 years,
Oh, 3 years.
2025. It's been 30. It's been 30 years.
She had no good behavior or anything
How old is
like
she now?
that, or
Pardon me?
How old is she going to be?
80 now,
She was
right?
35 when she went to jail, so she must be
Oh.
like 65 now.
She was only 35.
She
That
looked
woman
bad.
looked like she was 50.
She looked like
Wow.
shit,
Pull
dude.
up Yolanda Salazar.
Yeah.
95 when she killed
She-
Selena. So
That's
She had
crazy.
a-
on trial. Like look up
You
something.
know, when you
or
babysit
mugshot,
kids your whole
mugshot.
life, you get old, eh?
That's true.
Most Latinas that babysit and they were 8, they look 50 now.
So she's coming out in 3 years, and there's a whole bunch of memes. So there's people waiting on the fence, like ready for her to come out.
She's
like,
just going to have to go change her name, disappear,
How did she live when she
Like-
killed her?
live in the
that's
desert
how she looked like
somewhere.
when she killed her. She was 35, bro.
That ain't 35.
35 is
There's
not
no
old, bro.
Way.
That's
35's not
I'm-
old. I'm saying
I'm
she
almost
looks
35.
she looks 50.
I'm almost 35, and I don't look
You
like
know what, man? She probably wanted to kill the actress for paying her old.
God.
It was Lupe Ontiveros,
Yeah.
right?
Rest in peace. Yeah.
Lupe didn't look like that.
yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
she's coming
huh?
out in 3 years, which is gonna be the 30 years since Selena.
And she'll be
Quintanilla
on
died.
probation probably at
She
first.
will
So like
be,
they're gonna
yeah.
have to like keep her in a place.
She'll have to like a house.
She'll be in like a
house,
halfway
right?
house or whatever. You ever done stand up in one of those places? I did stand up at a halfway house.
think,
Like
He lived in a. Didn't you live in a sober living
Yeah.
after rehab?
Yeah.
so, like I did stand up in one not that long ago with
Stand up in a halfway
with
house?
Mike Muratori and I
Oh
think
my God.
Pebbles.
That's crazy.
The
I think
circular
Pebbles
comedy.
Brunel, you know her. So we
Yeah.
were there doing the show, and it's like everybody has ankle monitors on because like they
Yeah.
could leave during the day to go work, and they have to be back by like sundown or whatever. And it was like I remember after the show, like they loved it because anything to break up the monotony of that life must be like awesome, right? So
insane,
we
dude.
do the show, they have a great time, and then we're like, oh, we're gonna go. Like one guy was like, oh, I'm gonna go smoke outside, and they're like, oh, can't go outside. Sorry, because like they can't go out past the door.
Smoke outside the
Oh
window.
my goodness.
So he's like,
Wow.
so he's like standing there at the door, like yelling questions at us. We're standing outside. It was pretty funny.
There's a serial killer from Brazil, and that fool at or Colombia. He was like the biggest serial killer. He killed like 300 people, and they don't have a life. They don't have the death penalty in that country. He's gonna get out soon. Huh?
Yeah, a lot of those places have a maximum sentence of 20 years.
Canada does.
Where it's like
Lots of
you can't
places.
serve more than 20 years.
Ireland, too.
One that actually was interesting was I just did one about a guy who committed a massacre in Sweden, I think it was. Might have been Switzerland. I think it was Sweden, though. And they normally have, like, if you get a life sentence, it really means 16 years. But with his, they made it 32 because he killed, like, 7 people, and it was, like, brutal.
Steven Glickman was like talking about podcasts, and then you mentioned him his birthday on his podcast.
Yeah. Oh, Stephen Glickman has the same birthday as John Wayne Gacy,
Oh wow!
which is
How
One of
What
the
day
best.
is that?
March 17th, St.
Oh, I
Patrick's
thought he
Day.
was a
Oh
February
shit!
guy.
You just missed
Yeah,
it. Happy
yeah.
late birthday, Steven.
March has like a lot of big ones. Like you got John Wayne Gacy, you have Dennis Rader, BTK is in March. Randy Kraft, the scorecard killer, in March. Like there's some pretty
You
big
kept
names.
score that guy, huh?
Yeah, he did.
What was the scorecard killer? What did he do?
So he like they called him that because like he actually had like a list of like names that he
okay.
kept, and because a lot of these people
Don't
keep
they
like
all?
souvenirs.
Yeah, some sort of souvenir.
But he became known as the scorecard killer. That guy, Randy Kraft. I always thought he looked kind of like George Bush, Randy Kraft.
Yeah, the one when I talked about Richard Chase, the most interesting part of that is he thought this is the weirdest. How do you even get this thought? He thought that Nazis were planning to capture him, and that they were communicating through the fucking soap dish under his soap. I mean, right there. I mean, that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
Right there. You just go, okay, it's over. You just got to go in prison forever. Like
Any of the like the any of that David
Who-
Berkowitz type where like
Yeah.
you hear voices and
voices.
they're like
It's
telling you
schizophrenia. I
what to
mean,
do
obviously,
and-
How
but
about Ed
it's
Gaines?
crazy.
He would put the sewing kit needles in his groin for satisfaction.
you know a lot of
and when they
people.
found him, he had like 10 of them in his groin,
And the thing
bro.
with Ed Gein that's weird is a lot of people have said he's only ever like proven to kill like 1 or 2 people, but he used to dig up bodies from a local cemetery and
They
do
were
weird
already-
stuff with
yeah.
them. So it's
He was a
interesting.
desecrator, basically.
Yeah, it's hard to know how many he actually killed, but he's the guy that Psycho's based on. They based Hannibal Lecter
Hannibal
in part
Lecter,
on
yeah.
him. You know, like a lot of characters. Like he's one
the
of the most
wearing
influential.
of the skin and that
yeah,
sort of thing.
Leatherface,
Yeah.
sort of based on Ed
That's
Gein.
true.
So
Yeah, I always Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I always thought that was based on him. That's not.
yeah, that's
Or that's an
Leatherface.
amalgam
Yeah.
right,
too.
yeah.
That's an
Like
amalgam
he's
too, right?
yeah, they're all sort of based on
Yeah.
a bunch of different people.
The
But
first serial killer I ever saw, serial killer movie I ever saw, because there was a bunch of them in the 80s, Jason and all that, was a one called Maniac. And that shit was scary, man. I didn't even know why I'm watching this movie. Right? I was like an 8 years old or 9. I went to the movie theater to eat my popcorn. This guy was raping chicks.
You're 8 years old
and
watching this.
he was like attacking. You see boobs, and he would scalp them like a Native American, and take the top of their heads off, and you would see like the blood coming down, and the girl was screaming ah,
yeah,
and they would nail it on a mannequin, and it's like he had a bunch of a mannequin of all the women he killed, and they're all dressed up. And like at the end of the movie, when they found them, they found like the flight attendant dressed up. You saw? Did you see the movie?
yeah, long time ago.
This is before the Hillside Stranglers, right? The movie came out.
Yeah, it was like 1980 or something. That
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, long time ago. There was like I remember.
Shout out to my cousin Laura. She would always take me to see these movies.
No, that's the thing is like there are people that take their
no
kids to see
stuff.
crazy violent stuff. Like I remember going to see the Rob Zombie Halloween remake, which was
That's
not very
scary,
good.
dude.
But like I remember going to see that, and there's a woman with a stroller, like in the aisle right there, and this kid's like 2 years old, and then like killing whatever, no problem. But then there's like boobs. She's like, cover your eyes, cover your eyes. I was like, what? That's where you draw the line?
Dude, a lot of Latinos, they'll be like ghetto, like, you know, like Latinos, they'll be like, oh, you can't watch The Simpsons, but they'll let their kids watch fucking Chucky and fucking Halloween.
Or Scarface movie.
I remember my mother. We watched Roots, and she covered my face with her nightgown. I remember she covered that when they were beating the Kunta Kinte, you know. And
That's my mom's favorite movie.
I didn't know why she was covering my
Putas.
face. I was like, oh, it's just. I mean, like beating. My mother beat my father, you know, every day. Like I just have to see that, you know. But
The
whatever.
Roots gave my brother Angel a lot of fuel.
It did.
Yeah, Because when we had brother was dark, he knew right away. Like
He knew how to hurt.
he knew
that
he
feeling.
would call it kuta, or whatever dark.
Kunta Chente, right.
Kunta Chente, bro. Ever since Roots, every time my brother knew right away that the darker person was the one you could make fun of. So we had a brother that was darker than us, and Juan Carlos. And that fool we'll call him Radio.
So I'm safe in any room.
He'll call him Radio Rahim, bro.
You're safe in a Mexican room.
I'm safe in any Mexican room.
Hell yeah, bro.
I'm just like the redheaded dude in Colors.
I'll bring you to my house, bro. My mom will think I made it.
He's from Children of the Corn, though, right?
Yeah, that guy.
Caleb, right?
He was scary. That guy.
Caleb, he was scary.
That actor always played psychos.
So what's your Instagram?
Funny Matt. Funny Matt on most social media. You can find me.
But the TikTok, people go follow you right now.
Funnymatt.com on TikTok. You got to spell it all out because somebody else is already.
Spell out .com. Funny
DOTCOM.
DOTCOM.
Do you like eating at JNS?
JNS, what's that?
Right there
Montebello.
on Montebello, the burrito spot.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Garfield?
That
That's
was
all
the
right.
first place I had a chile relleno burrito.
My favorite, like
back in the day. That's my favorite thing in the whole
like
wide
if I'm
world,
going for
chile
fast
relleno
food
burrito.
Mexican food, I like
Ari's,
Casa Garcia in Pico Rivera. Good
okay.
place. El Atacor, good place right there in
El
Whittier
Atacor.
Boulevard.
On Whittier
It's a
Boulevard?
good place.
The attacker.
I like Juan Great Fiesta in Montebello. It's kind of a little fast foodish, but it's actually really, really good. I like
I
that
like
place.
Ari's right there on Whittier Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
That's a badass
there's an original Taco Bell building in Montebello, right?
The original was in Downey. The very
Downey,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah. Because it was. There's a whole weird story with that.
Taco
like,
Quickie, it was like a...
We were talking about fast food originating in Downey in general, right?
Yeah.
Like Taco Bell, like
McDonald's.
Irvine,
the oldest
Downey
existing
area.
McDonald's is in Downey.
Downey,
yeah,
The
yeah,
sixth
yeah.
one ever built. That one's still there.
If you want to get to that one
Lakewood.
by bus, take the 460.
I used to go
You
to that
know
when I
the
was a kid
buses.
because that was the closest McDonald's to my house when I was a real little kid. Was the one in Downey, the old one,
On Lakewood and...
We should go eat McDonald's right now.
right there by the...
Firestone, I think.
Yeah. Dude,
Or Florence. I can't remember if it's Florence. or
Florence. Yeah,
Firestone.
it's Florence. Yeah.
So you're actually gonna write a book about this? The
Yeah,
birthdays?
so
That's awesome.
if you're cheap and you don't want to buy the book, you could just write down everything I say in all my videos because that's basically what it's going to be. So just watch all my videos, write it down, and then you have my book.
and you're gonna have a details of what that person did too, with the
Yeah, all
photo
the
and
details
that?
of
That's badass.
like how they grew up, where they're from, how they sort of occurred, and then like what they actually did. And then I'm working on that. I got a nice artist for it who's doing some cool artwork. I'll show you.
Your book should have 12 postcards in the back, so they can mail it to one each for extra money.
Little postcards, yeah.
Yeah, because people.
That's a good idea.
You know, people just 12 postcards of pick,
some of the
pick
serial
a month. The
Yeah, for your
Yeah.
birthday, friends.
I wanted to
For
do
our
a
birthday
page a day
gift.
calendar, but I can't find anywhere where they make those anymore. I just thought that would be kind of good, but
You got to contact the guy from Far Side.
what happened, bro?
yeah.
He has
Gary
lockers.
Gary
on.
Larson.
Comment to the people in the chat.
So, what is there? Somebody asked if there's a famous Hispanic because they're mostly white, but is there a
We
famous
saw
Latino?
the luchadora.
Hernando
the serial
Cortez,
killer,
homie.
yeah,
There's
that
been
woman.
quite a few. Like the thing is, like there's this reputation, like a stereotype that most serial
Only
killers are white guys.
yeah.
From
It
doing
used
this,
to be the case.
it's not
but-
really the case that much. Like it's white people are probably. It's probably about roughly equivalent to
The
whites
percentage
being
of
like half of
distribution
society
and-
in America, so they're about half the serial killers. But quite a few Latinos. There's a good Mexican one. I forget his name, but he ran like a cult, and he had like a whole thing with a cult that he ran, and he murdered a bunch of people.
In Juarez, right?
And yeah, I think
The drug
Juarez
dealer.
is where a lot of it went down there. And he
See,
was
I don't think drug dealers count because that's like part
no,
of
he
the
wasn't a drug dealer.
job.
He
That's
was
part
a
of their
cult
job. They're
leader.
forced to do it.
Yeah.
He sold drugs to make money for his cult,
Oh,
but he
that's
wasn't
crazy.
like a
What
drug.
kind of cult was it? A religious cult?
Yeah,
But
a
already
whole
killed his
thing.
enemies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was things like that. There was a couple South Americans who killed hundreds and hundreds. There was one guy I remember that killed a bunch of people, went to prison, escaped from prison, and then went from like Peru to another country that borders it. I forget, Costa Rica, somewhere around there. I forget exactly where it was. And then so like he went on like a raft in the ocean and floated over to another country, and then killed like 200 more people.
Dude, how about
That's insane.
how many serial killers?
He was on like an island prison, and he built like a raft and then floated to another country. And they started
Island
killing
prison
people there.
where? In Mexico?
No, it was South America, Central America somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you done a lot of research on the maquinitas, like the serial killers that were
yeah.
around in Juarez killing
Killing
women
women.
during NAFTA?
Like the seamstresses
I
and
don't
stuff.
have. I don't think I've got a lot that have been caught there because basically, if they haven't been caught, I don't have anything on them. Right? I'm not like a researcher or investigator, but
I read that there was two serial killers. There was one serial killer.
Because this was like at the same time.
At the
as
same
everything
time,
else.
it was just
Yeah.
hard to find because there was a
Yeah.
lot of drug cartel fighting too.
That's-
But there was a serial killer that was a bus driver, supposedly, and he was killing all these women.
That's pretty common.
And they never caught him, but they say that he's the killer. And then there was a doctor, like an Arab doctor, that was released from Pittsburgh, and he was living in Mexico, and he was killing a shitload of women, all on the border, all prostitutes, and he was pretty much practicing like a doctor on them,
Okay.
fucking them up.
Like Dr. Giggles.
But since they were poor, they were prostitutes.
Nobody did anything, yeah.
And there was a lot of people getting killed because of cartels. It was hard to label everybody.
Yeah, it's like here in LA in the 90s, they thought there was one serial killer they called the Southside Slayer, right? But it was actually 3 serial killers killing the same kinds of victims in the same way, which was the Grim Sleeper was one of the big ones of those. But there were 3 guys picking up prostitutes and killing them, leaving them dumpsters, basically, all at the same time. So, like, it's very difficult a lot of times to go back until these guys get caught, and then they come out, and then they always have a list of everybody they killed, right?
Yeah.
Until they come up with their notes, and they're like, okay, well, I killed all these people, and then well, this one was Grim Sleeper, this one was somebody else, and
So Grim Sleeper was the one who
Cop, right?
no, he was like a trash guy, right?
Yeah.
Like a dumb like
They
he
cut
had
his son.
Yeah, they caught his son first, but he didn't have
I think they
enough
caught him
of
through the
markers.
DNA
Yeah.
like thing, like they got him through like the DNA
But
testing
they said it was
services or whatever.
similar. There's like this guy isn't strong enough match to be the guy.
But he's related to
But
the
he's
guy.
related to, and then that guy. They found out that the times when the killing stopped was when the guy wasn't working or he was in jail for
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
else. Or
on the
something, right?
HBO,
the dad, the
on the
actual
HBO
dad.
documentary,
Yeah, that's him right there.
on the HBO documentary, that one right there, Tiffany Haddish credited,
Yeah,
but she
she's on.
don't come out in the movie because
No, she's in the movie briefly, but
she was
no
living
credit.
in the neighborhood when it was
Yeah.
going down.
Oh wow.
In
It was
LA?
South
Yeah.
Central.
She was,
and
a
all
or,
that.
she was like a little
Because-
what's it called, orphan?
She was a foster kid.
A foster
Foster,
kid, yeah.
wow.
They had in that one they talk about how he used to lure like crack whores and he would offer them drugs.
Yeah.
And then they go to this like little shack behind his house and do the drugs and then he'd kill them and dump them. But then he was dumping them in these what do you call them? Landfills.
Yeah.
And then they realized that the times when the murders stopped were the times that he was in jail or he didn't have that job
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at how common necrophilia is among all these people. It's like
my
every
God.
other one. I'm like, and then he had sex with the dead bodies, and
Yeah.
you're like, what?
Has there ever been like a comedian that's been a serial killer? Just a serial rapist, huh?
The
Serial
Joker,
rapists,
bro.
I think we probably know a bunch of serial rapists in this business, unfortunately, but serial killers probably not. I don't know.
The Joker.
I hope not.
The
Serial
movie.
cheap shots.
Yeah.
Sure.
What's up, fool, bro? What you still doing your podcast?
Los Squad by the Bell, Los Podcasts del Norte, and right here, What's Up, Fool, bro?
And you have your podcast.
Yeah, I've got the nighttime show I host with Stephen Kramer Glickman, who was Gustavo Rock on Nickelodeon's Big Time Rush. You might
Big
recognize
dude,
him.
my girlfriend from high school used to love that show.
Just
My girlfriend from high school used
Call
to love
me.
that shit.
When I was in high school,
Yes.
oh no,
call me. I'll get you a picture, whatever. I'll get you something for
What
it.
they have like
Yeah.
a weird.
We'll get you something
I
for
don't think
it.
We
he knows
have
anybody
big
now and wants a
glasses.
picture of Steven.
No, you'd be surprised.
Isaac, my son, used
crazy.
to watch Big Time Rush.
Huge fandom still, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Philip, did you
because that
watch
show's
it?
on the Netflix
No.
now and stuff. Like people are still into that.
lying.
It's crazy. We go anywhere and people are like, "Are you the guy from Big Time Rush?" It's like
They recognize
funny.
him?
Oh, all the time.
That's so
that was a
funny.
big show when I was like late teens, early 20s. Yeah.
So I host a podcast with him that if you want to hear about my jury service, I actually have a podcast on that called Juror Number 8. It's 5
Okay.
episodes.
You have a
just
podcast
about the murder trial.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a limited run thing, 5 episodes.
Number 8. That's a good idea.
Because I was juror number 8 on the jury, so I put that out, talking about that whole story.
Hell yeah.
And you
I
can
want to
catch
get
me.
on a criminal case, man. I don't want to ever
Nobody
do
cares about the jury on the Wells Fargo.
Scranton
case.
No. I
No
don't.
podcast.
I don't care about that case.
The worst podcast ever, the Wells Fargo
The
case. Just call it the World's Worst Podcast and do a podcast about it.
Not
You
doing
can totally do it.
podcasts on
Somebody
that.
said
Lisa,
human.
what?
Somebody said human trafficking Lisa. Like,
Yeah, do a case about do a podcast about when you help your neighbor
I
get
feel
sold.
horrible about
We gotta
The
saying
Search for
that,
Sunny
but-
podcast.
And you can catch me doing stand up next Monday
That would be
at
interesting
Mrs.
to
Robinson's
search
Irish
for
Pub,
him.
Monday night, 8 p.m., April 4th. I'll
Where's
be there.
that?
hell yeah.
Irish
Toluca Lake.
pub?
Oh hell yeah.
It's in
dude.
Toluca Lake. I'll be there with Jeffrey Keller, Mike Moratori. Good lineup. A lot of fun.
Mike Moratori.
Yeah,
dude.
Jeffrey
Yeah.
Keller we
I
had
love
on the
Jeffrey Keller, man.
podcast,
I
right?
thought
Yeah.
that.
Keller's great. Yeah.
She's
Yep, right
the
there.
white mom, right? White mama?
My
Yep, my
mom's
mom is
white.
white.
My
My
mom's
mom's
white.
white,
Yeah.
Former
cool
NFL
as-
player,
he's cool
Jeffrey
as
Keller.
hell.
He's so skinny for a former
He
NFL player.
he was in Carlos Mencia's first special, uncredited.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah,
a
he was.
sketch they did?
He played in the
He
USFL
was in a
with
car with him when they were driving.
Steve Young,
Fuck.
and then he got injured, and then Steve Young went to the NFL, and he asked Keller to come along because he's a good wide receiver, and then Keller was like, he'd had like 3 concussions, or whatever. He's like, no, I don't want to lose my brain, so.
Yeah, sorry, before you
Yeah.
say what's so fool and good night. But this bus driver in El Chuco in El Paso was a bad man killing women walking in the dark back from work in Mexico, somewhere transporting hielo. But yeah, so that was you talked about that too, right? That it ended up being a bus driver killing those women, the seamstresses. And it was a combination of like hate for women for working while these men didn't have jobs, but also this guy was a serial killer.
Yeah, these people have crazy motivations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Also on Narcos, the Mexican, the new season, they do a little bit of what we're talking about the missing women, and that guy ended up getting killed at the end. But he's kind of does a little investigation. You could tell that nobody cares.
Yeah.
What's up, Food Podcast? We got Matt right here.
Matt
Serial
Walker
killer birthday guy.
from Pico Rivera,
Somebody
dude.
said the podcast should be, hold on,
Pico Rivera's own. Matt
the
Walker.
Sunny Will Come Up podcast.
There you go.
Sonny LaFleur.
Poor Sunny.
Matt Walker
Je t'aime.
from PR, not Puerto Rico, but
Good
fucking
night.
Pico Rivera.